Chapter 81 Sasuke longs for power. Just when Naruto was fighting with 10,000 snakes, Orochimaru also found Sasuke and Sakura who were hiding. At this time, Sakura has woken up, and her spirits have improved a lot due to the influence of Genjutsu. Sasuke on the other side was feeling low pressure all over his body, clenching his fists tightly and looking around cautiously. The awakened Sakura lowered her head and glanced at her slightly wet but intact body. He looked up again and glanced at Sasuke, who was leaning against the tree trunk on guard. Suddenly he was extremely happy and asked, "Sasuke, was it you who saved me?" Then he turned around and looked around. Where's Naruto? Did Fengxu come out to fight again and hunt down that terrifying long snake monster? When she thought of such a powerful Fengxu, the panic in Sakura's heart dropped a lot. But as soon as she finished speaking, the ground beneath her feet suddenly shook, and there was a loud noise in the distance. Looking up following the sound, Sakura froze on the spot, fear appearing on her face. What is that? How could there be such a huge snake? It's 100 times bigger than the one that just ate me. It's the psychic beast channeled by the long-tongued monster just now. Sasuke's deep voice sounded. He looked at the thousands of snakes in the distance that were lifted with inexplicable force so that their tails were pointing upwards. He couldn't help but punch the tree trunk next to him. The one fighting that giant python was not Fengxu, but Naruto, who used 9 tails chakra. Because Fengxu has used the power of 9 tails too many times, plus Naruto's own big mouth. So Sasuke and Sakura basically know that Naruto has 9 tails sealed in his body. Naruto uses 9 tails chakra and then fights that monster Orochi. Sakura covered her mouth and exclaimed, looking unbelievable. Isn't it true that only Fengxu can control it? Why can Naruto suddenly be able to use it too? It's like the poor student in the class suddenly became the champion of the city's competition. The feeling of conflict before and after made Sakura unable to accept it for a while. Sakura felt so uncomfortable, let alone Sasuke beside her. Hearing the thunderous roar in the distance, and the bodies of thousands of snakes being beaten and flopping on the ground, Sasuke's face twisted with anger. Unable to control his emotions for a moment, he beat the tree trunk crazily with his fists. How come Naruto has such a powerful sub-personality and can master such powerful 9 tails power in the future? And I practice so hard every day, working hard to learn A-level ninjutsu, and the nature of my practice without sleeping has changed. As a result, I can only keep running away, constantly being defeated by the enemy, and constantly hiding behind others. Why on earth is this? Obviously my talent is higher, but I still need this power to carry a blood feud. Why did everything go to that idiot at the end of the crane? Swish! Sasuke hammered the tree trunks into hollows, and a large number of leaves fell from the branches. If he could have this kind of powerful power, he wouldn't be so scared that he couldn't move that nightmarish night. His parents would not die tragically, Uchiha would not be exterminated, and everyone would be alive. All of this is because he does not have enough power and can only be slaughtered by others. Just like the Kingdom of Waves before, and just like that, he could only helplessly watch his companions die tragically, waiting for himself to be killed. Thinking of this, what Shiro said to him before came to Sasuke's mind. He immediately raised his head and looked into the distance with sinister eyes. 4-star village, as long as you can let me gain power, so what if you rebel against the village? Even if I abandon everything now, I can do it all. Looking at the somewhat crazy Sasuke in front of him, he heard some inappropriate remarks. Sakura was a little frightened for a moment. Sasuke, you. Before Sakura could ask anything, there was a burst of laughter from the tree trunk behind her. He. Sasuke-kun, power is actually very easy to obtain. As long as you dare to make a deal with the devil with your soul. On the tree trunk, Orochimaru was hanging upside down. He had been eavesdropping for a long time, but he didn't expect that Sasuke had the idea on his own without his guidance. So now I am quite happy and excited. You were not stopped by Naruto. Sakura, come here quickly. As he spoke, Sasuke quickly entered a fighting position, waving his hand and throwing the shuriken towards Orochimaru. Facing the shurikens that circled around in the air, Orochimaru just jumped away and dodged them. Don't be so grumpy, I just want to make a deal with you and give you power no weaker than Naruto. Isn't he weaker than Naruto? Sasuke frowned and stopped walking as he was about to leave. Although he doesn't quite believe it, he will not let go of any small possibility. Sasuke, don't listen to his nonsense. Let's go to Naruto quickly and ask him to call Fengxu out and kill this weirdo. Feeling something was wrong, Sakura immediately stepped forward to grab Sasuke and wanted to take him away from here. But Sasuke remained motionless, staring at Orochimaru in front of him. That's right. Orochimaru ignored Sakura on the side, but nodded, and at the same time took out the ninja seal in his hand. My name is Orochimaru, you should have heard my name. You will definitely be satisfied with the power I give you, and I will also ask my men to do experiments on you. Orochimaru. They may have never heard it before, but when I met Jiraiya, he had already been educated by Umbu's elephant, so he knew Orochimaru's name very well. Seeing the shock on their faces, Orochimaru nodded with satisfaction. Then the neck suddenly lengthened, stretched out quickly, and rushed towards Sasuke. He was stopped by Naruto before, but now he wants to plant the heavenly curse seal on Sasuke again? Call out? Click. Sasuke felt a pain in his neck and quickly poked Orochimaru's head next to his cheek with a kunai. But after biting Orochimaru, his head had been quickly retracted. Ugh, it feels so bad, my body. Holding the 3 Megatama marks on his neck, Sasuke felt a sharp pain all over his body, as if he was experiencing Ling Qi. Sasuke. Sakura stepped forward to help Sasuke, and then turned to look at Orochimaru angrily. Asshole, what did you do to him? I didn't hurt Sasuke, I just gave him what he wanted. With a smile, Orochimaru's body slowly sank into the ground. Just as he was about to leave, a terrifying chill filled his body. Without thinking, Orochimaru jumped out of the ground and jumped to the side. The ground where he originally stood was covered by a thick layer of ice crystals. At the same time, Shiro's figure appeared next to Sasuke in front. Fortunately, we arrived in time, otherwise the mission assigned by the master would have failed. Chapter 82 by vs Orochimaru. Descendants of the Snow Clan in 4-star village. Looking at Shiro who suddenly appeared, Orochimaru stopped his movements and decided not to leave for the time being. He had a hunch that something interesting was going to happen soon. Then he spoke with interest. From your tone, you're here to see Sasuke too. And the master in your mouth. At this point, Orochimaru's eyes narrowed. Why, Kado also wants to gain the power of the Uchiha clan. But that's right, otherwise we wouldn't be able to collect the legacy of the Snow Clan and the Uzumaki clan. I just didn't expect that you would actually target Konoha. That's really stupid and makes me want to laugh, hee hee hee. More than a year after Kado fished the Land of Waves, they suddenly invested in building a ninja village in the Land of Waves, and Orochimaru naturally heard about it. It's just that this kind of small village, which is funded by rich people but has no experts, doesn't catch his eye at all. Coupled with being chased by Akatsuki, and preparing for the plan to collapse Konoha. Therefore, he did not deliberately collect intelligence or investigate relevant information. Otherwise, the Snow Clan and the Uzumaki clan would have been snatched back to their nests by him long ago. Kado. Bai covered his mouth and smiled contemptuously. He is just a puppet. He is not even qualified to carry my master's shoes. A puppet like Kado can be found out with just a casual investigation. So Bai had no intention of hiding anything. Anyway, what they were going to do next was bound to attract attention. Is it a puppet on the surface? Orochimaru nodded in realization. No wonder a stingy, profit-seeking businessman would spend most of his fortune building a ninja village. It makes sense if that's the case. Shiro ignored Orochimaru and reached out to Sasuke, who was squatting on the ground and screaming in pain. What do you want to do? Although there have been 2 friendly meetings before, but Sakura still stopped in front with a nervous and wary look on her face. Sakura, get out of the way and let him come over. Before Shiro could speak, he saw Sasuke, who was pale from pain, stood up tremblingly and pulled away from Sakura. Rather than telling him what price I have to pay, I trust you who make the price clear. Bai smiled slightly and took out a piece of talisman paper with the Flying Thunder God's mark on it. At the same time, a golden red chakra lit up in his hand, covering the talisman paper and throwing it outward. The next second, whoosh, the talisman disappeared, and the Fengxu shadow clone wearing a 4-star mask appeared in front of Sasuke. Without saying anything else, Shadow Clone slapped Sasuke directly on the abdomen. In an instant, a huge amount of golden red chakra emerged from the palm of his hand. Like a raging flood, it quickly rushed into Sasuke's body. This is pure-tailed beast chakra. Orochimaru recognized it at a glance when he saw the golden red chakra emerging from Shadow Clone's body. He also has extensive research on the chakra of tailed beasts. After all, there is still half of 8 Tails Jyaki's broken horn in his laboratory. It's a pity that except for Jinchuriki and the legendary Golden Horn and Silver Horn, no one has ever been able to use it alive. Moreover, the second Raikage of Union Village also used the efforts of the entire village to replicate the deeds of Golden Horn and Silver Horn. He made large numbers of people eat 8 Tails tentacles. In the end, no one got the 8 Tails beast chakra, and they all died on the spot. So after seeing Fengxu Shadow Clone instilling tailed beast chakra into Sasuke, he immediately rushed forward with rage. Damn idiot, stop it. As he spoke, Orochimaru formed a seal for a second and suddenly threw his 2 arms forward. Released his most commonly used ninjutsu, latent shadow snake hands. In an instant, more than a dozen pythons of different lengths and thickness were entangled together. Breaking through the air at extremely fast speeds, they all rushed towards Sasuke who was wrapped in gold and red. It's just that these pythons are flying halfway in the air. They were all pierced to the ground by cold ice needles, ice escape, 1,000 killings, and water soaring. Sorry, please don't disturb my master now. Shiro, who was originally far away, stopped in front of Orochimaru at some point. With one kick, the swooping Orochimaru was sent flying back. There was an apologetic smile on his face, which looked very sincere. But the content of the words he spat out was not sincere at all. Of course, you can't leave for the time being, and you have to be Sasuke's target after gaining strength. After hearing Shiro's words, Orochimaru, who was full of anger, smiled angrily. You're so arrogant and arrogant. Do you think you can stop me? The moment my words fell, the big snake suddenly fell to the ground and opened its mouth. The formation of 10,000 snakes. Wow! In an instant, tens of thousands of various types of lion majesty rushed out of his mouth. A terrifying tide of lion majesty was formed, and it hit by blocking the front like a tsunami wave. And when these lion majesty came closer, they spit out sharp sword blades from their mouths, piercing Bai's body. Faced with the overwhelming horror of the lion majesty's sword, Bai's lips opened slightly. Secret technique of ice escape, magic mirror ice killing. Swish, swish, swish. In an instant, ice and fog shrouded, and the temperature dropped sharply. The ice mirrors that originally surrounded the enemy were now lined up in a row and stood firmly in front, blocking the Lion Majesty wave from outside. At the same time, Bai, who was submerged in the ice mirror, held 4,000 needles between his fingers. In an instant, he jumped from the ice mirror on the far left to the ice mirror on the far right. The 1,000 bone needles in his hand also quickly crossed the Lion Majesty that hit the ice mirror at the speed of light. Tear, the snake's body is broken and its blood is spilled. Countless Lion Majesty were split into two and fell to the ground in front of the ice mirror. What a powerful ice escape. Orochimaru's snake eyes stared intently at Shiro, who was moving in the ice mirror at the speed of light. Then he opened his mouth again, and a python emerged from it, spitting out a sword blade that rapidly extended outwards. Kusanagi sword? Whoosh! The sword blade turned into a white light and shot out like thunder. Just a blink of an eye. The tip of this sword, which is said to be made of the hardest material, shattered the ice mirror on the far left. Then Orochimaru jerked his head to the right. Wow! The hard Kusanagi sword followed the swing and cut towards the left. It was like a hot knife cutting through butter, cutting off most of the ice mirror in an instant. With a smile on his face, Orochimaru was not ready to stop at all and headed towards the final ice mirror. However, clang! Orochimaru's smile froze on his face. I saw a hand with golden and red chakra stretched out from the last ice mirror. This hand holds a senbon needle that is also wrapped in golden and red chakra. Just like that, he blocked his extremely sharp Kusanagi sword. Tailed beast chakra. Impossible. You are obviously not a Jinchuriki, why can you use tailed beast chakra? If so, Orochimaru suddenly realized something and turned his head to look behind Shiro. Sasuke. P.S. Please give me a 5-star review and a free gift. Thank you so much. Chapter 83 Bloody Torture Orochimaru. Following Orochimaru's gaze. At a glance, I saw Sasuke no longer feeling pain and standing up again, and he could clearly feel that the connection between himself and the curse seal had become very weak. Sasuke has indeed mastered the tailed beast chakra. And it doesn't have to be a Jinchuriki, and it doesn't even take much time. Orochimaru looked at the shadow clone wearing the 4-star mask with greed in his eyes. If you don't have to become a Jinchuriki to master the tailed beast chakra, such a harvest is no worse than taking Sasuke's body? Thinking in his mind, Orochimaru looked at Fengxu's shadow clone with a smile. Hey, what about the mysterious strong man wearing a mask? Do you want to give me the power of the tailed beast too? I can join your 4-star village and work for you. Shadow clone Fengxu snorted lightly when he heard this, without any intention of agreeing. Joining us and then betraying us is the same as joining the Akatsuki organization before you. Does Fengxu have the confidence to control Orochimaru, who ranks first in life-saving and scientific research abilities? Even using 9 tails chakra to limit it is useless. People are playing with the soul and don't care about the body. Upon hearing the words Akatsuki organization, Orochimaru's smile froze on his face. However, Fengxu didn't give him a chance to ask questions, but patted Sasuke next to him on the shoulder. This is the 2-tailed chakra, go show your worth. Based on your performance, I will consider whether to give you more. Sasuke is a useful knife, and he won't waste it with Orochimaru. Just let him have a fight with the strongest Mizukage Uchiha Itaki in the future that will fill the Pacific Ocean. He can harvest a sharp blade that is crazy for Konoha? 2 tails are enough. Give me 3 minutes. Feeling the majestic power in his body, Sasuke looked at Orochimaru in front of him with disdain. Subsequently, buzz! A loud roar echoed all around. The layers of earth beneath Sasuke's feet shattered and collapsed, and his body disappeared instantly. Then, in front of Orochimaru's eyes in the distance, a fist was enlarging infinitely. The strength of the body has increased several times, and the speed has also increased to a level that is difficult to capture. I mentally compared Sasuke's strength before and after. Orochimaru flew backwards with his face deformed. It hit a large number of trees in succession, stirring up thick smoke and dust. Base? Orochimaru didn't wait to catch his breath. Sasuke in the distance suddenly appeared above him again. In the air, he used his heel as the axe blade and his thigh as the axe handle, and struck down hard like a battle axe. Boom! After being kicked, Orochimaru's body formed a V-shape and connected heavily with the ground. The terrifying force even caused the ground to collapse into a huge semicircular pit. Ahem, cough, cough. As expected of the power of the tailed beast, I almost died. Orochimaru was lying in the pit, with Sasuke stepping on his chest and coughing. Thinking of Naruto who just went berserk, and Sasuke who now also has the power of a tailed beast. Orochimaru has only one envious thing to say, but envy is limited. After all, he didn't use his full strength. Although it is very strong, this power is rootless and not as good as the power of the curse seal I gave you. That's your power. You can keep developing it and become stronger, and you can even finally master the power of Sage Jutsu through it. Seeing that Orochimaru still wanted to be the one to trade his soul, Sasuke quickly formed seals with his hands with a look of disdain. You look really ugly with your unwillingness, Orochimaru, one of the legendary Sunin. Along with Sasuke's words, the sharp chirping of birds echoed all around. Chidori. Whoosh! Without hesitation, Sasuke hit Orochimaru's chest with the Chidori in his hand again. This time with the bonus of 9 tails chakra, the palm of his hand sank directly into Orochimaru's chest. Chidori's lightning also completely enveloped Orochimaru. Ah! Orochimaru let out a feeble scream. Finally, his head dropped and he fell to the ground weakly as if he had died. Seeing that Orochimaru was dead, Sasuke pulled out his palm, frowned and shook off the inexplicable mucus stained on it. There is no blood but only mucus. Is this thing really human? With one kick, Orochimaru's body was pushed not far in front of Fengxu. Sasuke returned to Fengxu's side again, his face full of pride. 3 minutes is still too long. I only used less than 2 minutes. Shadow clone Fengxu glanced at Sasuke, his face hidden under the mask showing no expression. It just uses chakra to strengthen the body, and there is no use of chakra in attacks. Sasuke's expression changed after hearing this. Before he could refute, Shadow clone Fengxu continued. But forget it, considering that you finished 1 minute early, I can still count you as passing. And Shadow clone Fengxu changed his subject, then raised his hand and grabbed an arm that stretched towards his mask. Orochimaru is not dead at all, but you didn't even notice. What? Sasuke belatedly looked at the elongated Orochimaru next to him with disbelief. How is it possible? I crushed his heart and electrocuted his body. Saying that, Sasuke suddenly turned his head and looked. Seeing Orochimaru who was originally dead, he raised his head and opened his mouth at some point. Just like the previous times, a brand new body emerged from the open mouth. Hehehe. I didn't expect you to find out that I faked my death. How about it, do you want to reconsider letting me join you? Orochimaru was captured, and it was obvious that he didn't have much chakra left. The lower body, which originally had legs, has now turned into a slender snake's tail. Ignoring Orochimaru's inquiry, Shadow Clone's arm suddenly twitched. The huge force suddenly pulled Orochimaru's entire body out of the shed skin and threw it into the sky. I will only demonstrate once, this is how the tailed beast chakra is used. Golden red flames instantly cover the whole body, 6 sword-like spikes formed from the golden red flames. Then he stabbed Orochimaru into the sky at extremely fast speeds. Swish, 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 swish. Although there were only 6 spikes, at extremely fast speeds, it was like there were 1,000 thorns thrust out at the same time. In just an instant, Orochimaru's body was torn apart after a tremor. Blood and broken pieces of flesh were scattered all over the surrounding ground. Because the chakra's spikes are too fast and the attack is too strong, there was no way Orochimaru could repeat his old tricks again and use the Orochiryu substitution technique. It can only quickly transform back into its true form, the white snake sage, with a human head and a snake body. Then he used the final chakra to launch the first half of himself. After landing, he didn't even have time to say harsh words, and quickly burrowed into the ground. Bai on the side made a ninja seal and was about to chase after him, but was stopped by Fengxu with a wave of his hand. There is no need to kill him for now, it will be useful later. Shadow clone Fengxu didn't want to kill Orochimaru. As a result, he was not resurrected through the curse seal in time. Or after being resurrected, his strength is weakened and he will not continue the plan to collapse Konoha. After all, he has already prepared the people and is waiting to turn Konoha upside down when the plan begins. Chapter 84. Am I familiar with you, Orochimaru? An extremely angry scream resounded through the voice. The red bean holding the kunao in his hand fell to the faded snake slough on the ground like an electric switch. Damn it, it's another snake slough. Who is he fighting, and why does he shed so many snake sloughs? With doubts and confusion, Hongdu continued to shuttle quickly among the branches. Never mind this, I must end it with him this time. Use everything his professor gave me to kill him, even if it means losing my life. While talking to herself, Anko once again saw Orochimaru's body lying on the ground with his mouth open. And in front of that body, there were actually 2 people standing. A candidate from 4-star village and a survivor of the Uchiha clan. Are they the ones who forced Orochimaru to shed his skin and run away? It's impossible, it's just Genin taking the exam. Frowning on the ground, Hongdu didn't ask immediately. Instead, he quickly checked the snake slough on the ground. As expected, it's another Orochimaru's shed snake slough. Then he turned his head suddenly and looked at Sasuke and Shiro with serious expressions. Have you seen the ninja taking off this body? He is an S-class ninja listed in the wanted manual. He is very dangerous and not something you can deal with. Before Anko could finish her words, she was interrupted by an impatient Sasuke. S-class wanted criminal. Humph, he's just a loser who can only run away. With the terrifying 9 tails chakra given by Fengxu, Sasuke is now very floating. Even Orochimaru, one of the legendary Sennin, could only be beaten by him until he pretended to be dead and ran away. He felt that just a few more tails of chakra were needed. With a little more practice in his usage, he can kill Uchiha Itachi. There was also Naruto who was also rampaging with 2 tails, but couldn't control them. Sasuke can't wait to taunt him now. It takes so long to deal with a garbage psychic beast, why not give him the power of 9 tails? You. Sasuke, who was struggling so hard in front of him, immediately made Anko angry. She just wanted to teach Sasuke a lesson and teach him how to respect his seniors. The hand he just raised was pinched by the smiling Bai. The person you are looking for is in front, and those scattered on the ground are all him. What? Anko looked in the direction of Bai's finger, her face full of disbelief. Orochimaru he is dead. Impossible? Only I can kill him. With shock and despair on her face, Hongdu stumbled over. Shiro, who pointed the direction to Anko, withdrew his gaze and looked at Sasuke again. I don't understand why the master values you so much, but I am just a tool in his hand and I have no time to interfere. Zabuza is Fengxu's tool, and he is Zabuza's tool, so he is a tool's tool. But I want to remind you, go to 4-star village as soon as possible after the exam. Otherwise, you probably don't want to experience the feeling of burning fire and burning every cell in your body, because of the powerful power given by Fengxu. Now, no matter how many people he kills, he can instantly kill Kirigakuru's pursuit troops without worrying about his safety. In addition, it gives them a stable hiding place, so they don't have to hide everywhere. So Shiro is very satisfied with the current situation, and has a loyalty to Fengxu second only to Zabuza. Naturally, we must do our best and fulfill our responsibilities. Besides, he also thought that in the future, he could let Fengxu lift the restrictions on him and Zabuza. Humph, I will go naturally, I don't need you to warn me. Easily obtain such powerful power, Sasuke will definitely not let it go. If Shadow Clone Fengxu hadn't disappeared, he would have been asked to go to 4-star village after the exam. It is estimated that he wants to leave immediately. As for the burning fire on the body, is there any heartache and pain caused by the night of genocide? As long as he can successfully take revenge, anything will do. As long as you understand. Without saying a word, Bai left here quickly. Putting Xianglin together with an ordinary genin, he was really worried about their safety. Seeing that the person was gone, Sasuke also walked towards Sakura who was hiding behind a tree in the distance. Seeing that the matter was resolved and Sasuke returned to her side, Sakura breathed a sigh of relief. Then he asked worriedly, Sasuke, what is your relationship with that 4-star ninja just now? And who is that mysterious man? Did he really give you the same tailed beast chakra as Naruto? Do they have ulterior motives for you, or? Listening to Sakura's continuous questioning like pouring beans out of a bamboo tube, Sasuke frowned and interrupted. You don't need to care about or explore my affairs. Don't pretend that you know me well, we are just accomplices in battle, not your partners. Now that he has sold his soul to the devil, Sasuke has no intention of regaining the bonds with his friends. You will be able to save yourself from taking action when there is hostility in the future. Don't be affected by these emotions and make yourself weak. Sasuke, you. Sakura didn't know what illness Sasuke had fallen into again. Obviously everyone's relationship has improved again, and she also cares more about Naruto and doesn't hate Naruto according to Sasuke's ideas. But why are you starting to be indifferent and disgusted with her again now? Could it be because of the guy named Bai and the mysterious person who suddenly appeared? Although I really want to ask clearly, but looking at Sasuke's indifference that year, he still kept his mouth shut. Bang! Not far away, Hongdu returned here carrying half of the white phosphorus snake body. He threw the snake body in front of Sasuke and asked with a serious look on his face. Where did that 4-star ninja go just now? I need you to report to me what just happened. This is related to the safety of the village. Anko simply didn't believe that Orochimaru would be easily killed by Genin. If it were so easy to die, Orochimaru would have died 10,000 times before it became a worry for Konoha. I killed this loser who tried to attack me, it's that simple. Sasuke glanced at Anko with a cold look, and the golden red color in his eyes flashed away. Then without looking back, he shuttled away in the direction where Naruto and 10,000 snakes were fighting before. Anko, on the other hand, was shocked when Sasuke saw it. It's like facing some fierce beast? Is it really him? Anko now really believed Sasuke's words. But Sasuke couldn't ask, and Sakura on the side obviously could. Then he turned around and grabbed Sakura's wrist, holding her back as she was about to leave. He said threateningly, if you don't want to be eliminated, tell me everything you just saw, including what Orochimaru said and how he was killed. Chapter 85 Naruto is smart again. East of the Death Forest. Rumble, roar. Run quickly, that monster is chasing me. 3 or 4 panicked genin, desperately running away into the distance. Behind them was Naruto, who was on all fours, running like a wild beast. Because Naruto was switched by Fengxu before when he went berserk. Therefore, Naruto who has never suffered from hatred on the 9 tails chakra. At this moment, he was completely caught up in the desire for killing and destruction. The only way to meet people along the way is to give them a few paws. Many people have been seriously injured or even on the verge of death. If it weren't for the fact that Naruto had a little bit of clarity left in the end that he couldn't kill. It is estimated that all these unlucky ones will be split in half by his claws. What happened? Why are they all running? With a curious look on his face, Ye looked behind the ninjas. Don't look at it. Let's evacuate too. It must be something dangerous. Besides, we have already obtained the Book of Earth and assembled the world. It is better to avoid danger and quickly go to the high platform in the middle. Ya curled her lips indifferently. This has just begun and I want to end it. I have no intention of challenging the limit of survival at all. Besides, you are too gloomy for playing with bugs. We should face the difficulty and go over and have a look. Are you right, Akamaru? Woof woof. Akamaru nodded his head in agreement. But, I also think Shino is right. Hinata timidly expressed her opinion on the side. Okay, I know, you guys are really annoying. Seeing that Hinata also objected, Kiba could only nod his head sulkily. Yes, how about I roll my eyes and see if it's not dangerous. Hearing Hinata's words, Ya's eyes lit up and he quickly moved closer. Yes, Hinata, take a quick look, I'm really curious about what is chasing them. Hinata nodded and turned back, veins popping up around her eyes. Roll your eyes. Whoosh. The sight quickly passes through the layers of trees and branches. Soon, he saw Naruto who was a kilometer away and slapped the person on the tree trunk with his paw. That's Naruto-kun. Naruto. Kiba and Shino both had question marks on their faces, as if you were kidding me. That dangerous monster is Naruto. Before Hinata could answer, Naruto, who seemed to feel the gaze, suddenly raised his head and looked this way. Scarlet vertical pupils, dark lips, and a fierce expression. Then his limbs suddenly jumped out and ran towards this side quickly. Something's wrong with Naruto-kun. Hinata's brows were frowned, no longer as soft as before, and she no longer stuttered when speaking. The next second, she seemed to have made up her mind, her little face became firm. You guys wait for me here, I want to go over and take a look. What? You can't explain it, right? Ye was a little confused. But Hinata didn't listen at all and ran out directly. Let's follow too. Shino followed without hesitation. There's really nothing I can do against you. Ya shook his head, and then followed him with excitement on his face. Behind the rampaging Naruto, the three of them, Shikamaru, Koji Ino, were following Naruto in full glory. What's wrong with Naruto looking like this? Why did he suddenly attack us? Koji's face was filled with worry and sadness. It's heartbreaking to think that your best friend wants to kill you. Ino's heart palpitated as she recalled the way Naruto took action just now. It's like being with a wild beast, not recognizing us at all. As he spoke, he seemed to have thought of something. And where are Sasuke and Sakura? They won't be killed by Naruto, right? If we really wanted to kill people, we would have died just now instead of being injured. Shikamaru looked calm and analyzed calmly. Maybe there's something wrong with the seal, or maybe there's something wrong with the guy inside him. Anyway, Naruto is very dangerous now. He just relies on instinct. I trained with Naruto and the others for 2 months. About the 9-tail seal in Naruto's body and his sub-personality. The big-mouthed Naruto had already told them all. Koji, who had been paying attention to the front, suddenly shouted, "Look ahead. It's Hinata from Class 8. Behind him is Yahei, the bug-playing guy." Shikamaru and Ino also looked, and sure enough they found Hinata running straight towards Naruto. "Hinata, what are you doing?" In contrast to Hinata, who is usually timid, stuttering and blushing, Ino had never seen the determined-looking Hinata in front of her before. However, she couldn't bear to see the scene of being injured next, and immediately shouted, "Get out of the way, Hinata. Naruto, he has no sense now and cannot recognize us." Roar. As if to confirm Ino's words, Naruto roared and scratched the tree trunk in the way with his claws. Facing Naruto with such a terrifying look, Hinata's expression became even more determined. Naruto-kun, who is so gentle, must be very sad and helpless now, and he doesn't want to hurt others at all. I must help him wake up. Thinking in her mind, Hinata suddenly jumped down from the tree. He raised his palms to meet Naruto and took one step forward, assuming the stance of gentle fist 8 trigrams palms. "Hinata, you have to have confidence, you can definitely do it. Just like what you usually practice, focus on the acupuncture points." Whoosh, ba, strands of broken hair were flying, and a trace of blood flowed from Hinata's cheek. "So fast? I can't keep up at all." Hinata originally wanted to observe with her Byakugan and then take action. "I found that I could barely see the movements clearly, and my body couldn't keep up at all. If it weren't for the nails Naruto grabbed just now, they would suddenly shift a few centimeters. She has been decapitated now." Kiba and Shino followed behind. Seeing the rampaging Naruto acting again, he shouted anxiously, "Hinata, get out of the way behind you." Naruto from behind attacked again. This time the target was no longer a vital part, but his left arm. Hinata turned around quickly, her snow-white pupils full of determination. "While you're attacking me, quickly hit the acupoints with your palms." Bah! Severe pain came from her left arm, and Hinata aimed her palm at Naruto's joint without hesitation. Snapped! The chakra that penetrated the joints was blocked by the chakra coat. Seeing that he was counterattacked, the berserk Naruto became furious and stabbed Hinata's throat with his claws like lightning. "Hinata!" Everyone screamed. At the same time, Yamato's voice came from afar. "Wood style, the art of silent killing and binding." The thick tree trunk suddenly protruded from the ground and quickly wrapped around Naruto's limbs like a spiritual snake. But after all, this tree trunk is not as fast as Naruto's claws. Seeing Hinata dying on the spot, Naruto struggled with his last bit of clarity. He instantly retracted into his body and escaped into the sealed space of 9 tails. Then Fengxu, who was watching the show, took over the body without any warning. Bang! A gust of wind pressure rolled out and swept across the entire venue. The claw that was originally pointed towards Hinata suddenly changed direction and smashed the tree trunk it was entangled with to pieces. "Naruto, you are smart again." Chapter 86 Sasuke gets beaten again. Hinata. Seeing Fengxu in front of him, his expression changed from a wild animal without wisdom to an expressionless face. And the terrifying scarlet chakra on his body also disappeared. Kiba and Shino quickly stepped forward and supported Hinata, whose legs were a little weak. From behind, Shikamaru and 3 others also arrived. Seeing that Hinata was fine, they all breathed a sigh of relief and looked at Fengxu curiously. Is this Naruto's sub-personality? Probably. After all, this look and temperament are definitely not something Naruto can possess. Suddenly, Ino seemed to remember something, with a look of enlightenment on her face. "I remember, it seems that in the first exam in the morning, that handsome Naruto was like this. It turns out that's his sub-personality, no wonder it's not the same at all." In the distance, Yamato also led a group of Umbu and landed in front of Fengxu. Lord Fengxu, fortunately you took action to suppress the rampaging Naruto, otherwise we would have been really in trouble. I had no choice but to take action just now. Please don't mind if you have a lot. Yamato, who knew Fengxu's temper well, quickly apologized and made rainbow farts. Originally, he thought that his wood style could really suppress 9 tails as Sarutobi Hiruzen said. But just now Fengxu just waved his hand lightly. The wood style that I was proud of fell apart like fragile paper. What was torn apart with wood style was his confidence. Fengxu just glanced at him coldly and said nothing. Now he just wants to go to the sealed space to meet Naruto. Ask him how he feels about what he just did. On the other side, Kiba, Hinata, and Shino, who were unaware, were a little confused. Lord Fengxu, Umbu's uncle, you called him wrong, he is Naruto. Woof woof. Akamaru, who was on top of his head, barked in agreement. Shino also looked over curiously, pricking up his ears and waiting for an explanation. As for Hinata, she saw that the Naruto in front of her had recovered as before, so he returned to his initial waxy appearance. I remembered my bold action just now and how close I was at this moment. The little face that was pale due to the shoulder injury quickly turned rosy, and steam came out of the top of his head. If it weren't for Eri Yuga and Shino holding her arms, she would probably be a little unsteady now. If you want to know, go back and ask your parents. Everyone present was a young master or young lady from various ninja clans in the village. In addition, Fengxu had appeared now, so he didn't lie to deceive others, and he didn't bother to explain himself. Then he continued to look at Fengxu, since you have solved this matter, we will not disturb you. Orochimaru, the S-class wanted criminal in the village, sneaked into the exam and we need to catch him. No need, he has been beaten to death by me. Sasuke's voice suddenly sounded. Then, his figure also appeared beside Fengxu with a whoosh. What? Did you beat him to death? The corner of Yamato's mouth twitched under the mask. Is this brat Uchiha trying to pretend to be crazy? How dare you say such nonsense? Even if he is as strong as Captain Umbu, if he encounters Orochimaru alone, he will have to take a detour? However, this thought was slapped in the face by Hongdo who arrived in the next second. It's not that he was killed. He was probably severely beaten and escaped. This is the half-body of Orochimaru, White Snake Sage's true form. Bang! Half of the White Snake body was thrown in front of Yamato. The expression behind Yamato's mask was very embarrassing. But he confirmed again, is this really Orochimaru? There are many Orochimaru snake sloughs over there. You can take people to check them, and... Anko glanced at Sasuke, as if thinking about what to say. But before she could think about it, Sasuke on the side couldn't stand it anymore. With confidence and arrogance on his face, he looked up at Fengxu. He said word for word, even Naruto just now has been left behind by me now. So, I want to challenge you, Fengxu. The moment he finished speaking, Sasuke's golden red color burst out. The powerful momentum brought out bursts of wind pressure and swept out. It blew the eyes of everyone watching around, and the dust and fallen leaves were also blown outwards. That's right, Urshiza thinks he's good again? Directly targeting the strongest person he had feared for 3 months, Fengxu. Is this the Uchiha clan? What a powerful chakra. Anko put her palms in front of her eyes, and now she finally understood why Sasuke was able to defeat Orochimaru. Yamato on the side was even more surprised, it's the tailed beast chakra. How is that possible? Sasuke is not a Jinchuriki, and the tailed beast chakra can be perfectly controlled. Compared to the chakra on Naruto who just lost control, the chakra on Sasuke is not too gentle? You want to challenge me? Fengxu was originally planning to find a place to chat with Naruto. Looking at the arrogant Sasuke in front of him, he suddenly became interested. After gaining great power, he has to find someone to beat him up. This is the Sasuke Fengxu knows so well? Don't worry, I will be careful and won't hurt you. Sasuke had a happy smile on his face when he spoke. The 2 Megatama Sharingan appeared in his eyes, staring at Fengxu, the 2 golden and red chakra tails behind him. With Sasuke's intentional control, he slowly aimed at Fengxu in front. It was obvious that Fengxu Shadow Clone's previous teachings were firmly in his mind. Click. The knuckle of the thumb pressing the index finger sounded. The smile on Fengxu's face was extremely bright, and he stood still without moving. It's interesting, then take action. You don't use 9 tails chakra, do you look down on me? Sasuke frowned, and the evil spirit quietly emerged between his eyebrows. It doesn't have to be so troublesome, it's just a fight that ends with 1 kick. Fengxu shook his head, the contempt in his eyes unreserved. Sasuke was really angry now, his eyes full of murderous intent. I changed my mind. Boom! Call out. In the middle of saying this, Sasuke's body instantly turned into a shadow. The ground beneath my feet also shattered layer by layer, and a circle of airwaves spread out. The next second, a voice sounded in Fengxu's ears. Now I'm going to seriously injure you. Whoosh! Sasuke appeared next to Fengxu, wrapping his golden and red tail around his legs to form a giant hammer. Then he kicked Fengxu hard in the waist. So fast. Anko and Yamato, who were watching the battle, exclaimed. This kind of movement speed is no less than elite Jonin level Taijutsu. Now when it is shown from a genin, it is just like a fantasy. Seeing Fengxu who still hadn't responded, Sasuke's smile became even crazier. He seemed to have seen the destruction of an undefeated myth. It seems as if he has seen the arrival of his invincible path. But the next second. Buzz? How can it be? Looking at Fengxu who suddenly disappeared in front of him, and the huge force coming from top to bottom on his cheek, Sasuke's smile froze on his face, his eyes filled with disbelief. Immediately afterwards, boom, a terrifying loud noise echoed through the surrounding forest. The earth trembled at this moment. It was as if an earthquake had just occurred for a second. Fengxu, with green chakra steam coming from his body, appeared above Sasuke at some point. He stumped hard on Sasuke's face, trampling him into the collapsed and shattered earth below. Unable to move, Chapter 87 Naruto's Transformation. Instant kill? Sasuke originally looked extremely powerful. Fengxu, who was directly defeated by Nine Tails, was instantly killed with one blow. Quiet. In this silence, Fengxu finished opening the fourth gate of pain. The golden and red chakra on Sasuke's body also automatically retracted into his body. My Sharingan, I can't even see his movements clearly. Sasuke did not choose to continue fighting, but stood up from the ground in despair. Although he had just passed one move, he knew very well how big the gap was between the two. Even if the fight continues, it will just be a one-sided beating relying on the defense of the tailed beast chakra. Besides, Fengxu hasn't used Nine Tails chakra yet. If it had been used, maybe that kick would have seriously injured or even killed him. The stunned people on the other side finally reacted. Okay, so awesome. Shikamaru rubbed his eyes, forgetting the pain of being injured by Naruto. Koji also sucked hard, and the snot bubbles came out from his nose. Sasuke, who defeated the S-class wanted criminal, was defeated by Fengxu in one fell swoop. Ino's face was even more shocked. It's exactly what Naruto said. Lord Fengxu is like an undefeated god of war. They had never seen Fengxu take action, and now they completely believed Naruto's boast before. As for Kiba, Hinata, and Shino, they were all stunned in place like wooden figures. The powerful rampaging Naruto just now shocked them. Now a Sasuke stronger than the rampaging Naruto appears. In the end, he was killed instantly by Naruto, who had a different temperament and became more handsome. To be honest, their CPU is a bit overloaded right now and they have no idea what's going on. It wasn't until a while later that they all looked at Shikamaru and the other three who knew something. His eyes are full of inquiry and inquiry. Suddenly, Sakura, who was at the back of the crowd, squeezed in. Looking at the miserable Hinata and Ino, who was also slightly injured, they said, "I'll tell you while I heal your wounds. I have to take the exam later." With that said, he pulled a few people aside and started treating them with medical ninjutsu. Ino and Hinata actually know a bit of medical ninjutsu, but since he didn't go to practice specifically, he still let Sakura start the treatment honestly. By the way, Ino also started telling Hinata and the others about the awesomeness that Naruto had boasted about with them before. Yamato, who had regained his composure, also came over. His expression under the mask was very complicated. "Can I ask you, was that also the tailed beast chakra just now?" Because Fengxu is not like Kai, who has to shout out before releasing his skills to set off his youthful momentum. So Yamato wasn't sure what it was, and he didn't think about 8 Gates Dungia. After all, ninjas generally don't learn the forbidden physical techniques that can cause great harm to one's body. Not to mention Jinchuriki, who has even more powerful tailed beast powers. Fengxu glanced at him, ignored him, and walked straight to the side. After finding a clean place to sit down, my mind sank into the sealed space. Sasuke also walked over and sat next to him, looking at the ground wondering what he was thinking. Jian Fengxu ignored him, and Yamato, who had been mentally prepared, didn't care either. After exchanging Orochimaru's report with Anko, he took the umbu and left here. The last Hongdu, after taking a deep look at Fengxu, who closed his eyes to rest, turned around and left towards the tall tower in the middle of the forest. She was the examiner for the second session. With Orochimaru's matter settled, she naturally has to continue to control the exam. Because the seal was opened, the sealed space became bright and spacious. Naruto was sitting blankly in front of Nine Tails, wondering what he was thinking. Nine Tails lay lazily on the ground, looking at Naruto with one eye closed. It wasn't until Fengxu suddenly appeared that it fully opened its eyes and sat up. With a smirk on his face, he winked at Fengxu. He, you still have something to do. Fengxu, this little thing is autistic again now. I'm not autistic. Naruto, who was in a daze, immediately retorted after hearing Nine Tails' words. I was just thinking about something. Fengxu ignored Nine Tails and walked straight to Naruto. Seeing Fengxu approaching, panic and guilt appeared on Naruto's face. He lowered his head, not daring to look directly into Fengxu's eyes. Fengxu, Before Naruto could take the initiative to explain, Fengxu's calm words came out. Very good, Naruto, you have grown up. Naruto's thoughts were suddenly disrupted, and he raised his head in confusion. Fengxu's expression remained unchanged and he said calmly, it's a good idea to sink your consciousness into the sealed space and replace me as a murderer. After all, I have killed countless people. It doesn't matter if I kill a few more people on my hands, and you don't have to bear the pressure. And all the things that happened before when I went berserk and hurt people because I couldn't control my power can be blamed on me. You can even accuse me from a moral standpoint because I killed your companion, which will further reduce your guilt. Anyway, the person was killed by the Dark Deputy, Fengxu, and it has nothing to do with Naruto losing control. Naruto, are still a gentle person, right? Every time Fengxu spoke, Naruto's expression became miserable. Finally, he curled up and held his head, tears pouring out. That's not the case. I didn't think about it that way. I didn't want to shirk responsibility. I'm sorry, I'm very cowardly and stupid. I can't solve the difficulties at all. I can only rely on you, who is as reliable as my brother. As he spoke, Naruto raised his head, and the self-blame on his face turned into determination and regret. But I just wanted to try to save people, and I didn't want to shirk responsibility. I just felt guilty and suddenly understood your previous behavior. I suddenly felt stupid, hateful, and annoying. The heart filled with hatred is impossible to control, but I will only blame you and get angry at you. Obviously the first time we met, you gave me a feeling of resentment that was even more terrifying than this hatred. Why did I never understand why I would become as hateful as I did later? Seeing Naruto holding his head and blaming himself, Fengxu could only say, this is very Naruto. He had felt that there was something wrong with Naruto's attitude towards him before. Obviously in the original work, she is a virgin who achieves tenderness through her own actions. Why did he become a linguistic virgin bitch when I came to him? Now it seems that it is the inherent unity of opposites between the main personality and the sub-personality that leads to the deviation. And due to the continuous improvement of trust and dependence, and Naruto's leaps and bounds in knowledge in the past few months, the antagonism is eliminated, trust and dependence on him are no longer such a childish mentality. Therefore, the mind has become more mature, and it has changed to what it is now. Chapter 88 Another breakthrough in trust and dependence. If it develops according to the rhythm of the original plot. As a hidden villain, he should be moved by a mysterious force now. After that, he and Naruto settled their differences and worked together to become a cheat for Naruto to improve and become stronger. Or it could become a stepping stone for Naruto to grow and die at the hands of a certain powerful enemy later. It's a pity that he is not a person in the original plot. Rather, they are extraterrestrial demons from the earth. Thinking of this, the calm expression on Fengxu's face became playful. He lowered his head and looked directly at Naruto. Since you feel so guilty and feel that you can't do anything well, why not give your body to me? I will be the main personality that can protect me from wind and rain, and you will be the secondary personality that assists me. I will also take good care of your friends outside. I won't let them be hurt by you like you did today. I can even become Hokage, fulfill your dream, and become an existence recognized by everyone. This way you don't have to be too tired and don't have to work hard on your own, and you can easily achieve all your goals. Fengxu's voice was like a devil's whisper, causing the expression on Naruto's face to constantly change. Just like what Fengxu said, Naruto felt that he had no control over Nine Tails' power of hatred. If he hadn't been specially trained by Fengxu, the villagers would have been scolded and there would be no fluctuation in their hearts. Just now, he would not have any sense left at all, and everyone he met would be killed by him. Although he felt something was wrong, Naruto nodded solemnly after thinking for a while. Good. Just like an elder brother protects his younger brother from wind and rain, Fengxu, my body will be handed over to you from now on. But in the future, when you have nothing to do, you have to let me come out for some air. Also, let me come out when you eat Ichiraku ramen. Did you really agree? Fengxu frowned, obviously feeling that Naruto had become a lot more difficult to deal with. Before changing the situation, Naruto should have been very resistant and then asked him to give up his body emotionally. What's going on with this dead pig that's not afraid of boiling meat on a hob? Thinking of this, Fengxu focused his attention on the system panel in his mind. Sure enough, there was no system message prompting to increase the trust dependency value. He looked down at Naruto's somewhat lost expression. Fengxu's playful expression suddenly disappeared and turned into a gentle smile. It's like an older brother facing his naughty younger brother. You little fool, I was just joking with you. Even if you let me become the protagonist, it will be when you don't want to be it again in the future, not now. And what you just did was right. Just like what you said, there is nothing wrong with the stupid brother relying on the powerful brother. What I said before was just to make you grow and understand something. At this point, Fengxu's expression became serious and solemn. Because the darkness and pain you have experienced have always been borne by me, enveloped me, and alerted me. That's why I will spare no effort to eliminate all possible threats. This is not only to help you, but also to help myself. It is also a protective color added to this body. You must have a bodhisattva heart, but also have thunderous means. It's useless for you to be gentle and kind, then I must be ruthless and cruel and show my ferocious claws. Only in this way will others not dare to bully us as orphans, and fear us, and even respect us. For example, Genbu who no longer dares to attack us, Umbu who respects us, and the villagers who are now not even allowed to gossip. Listening to Fengxu's explanation, Naruto suddenly felt enlightened. So it's always been like this. He felt that Fengxu's heartfelt words made sense. But there was an inexplicable power that vaguely made him disapprove of the thunderous methods behind him. But thinking about the pain Fengxu has endured for so many years and the protection he has given him, those disapprovals were temporarily suppressed by the emotions brought by the moist eyes. Looking at Fengxu, who was as big as himself but had a serious face, he had to force himself to be strong and cruel. Naruto stood up and wanted to go forward for a hug, but he shrank in midair for fear of being rejected. After seeing this, Fengxu regained his gentle smile on his face. With an expression of "Do you understand? I love you," he gently touched Naruto's head. Naruto no longer cowered, threw himself into Fengxu's arms, and began to cry loudly. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. I misunderstood you before, Wivyua. As Naruto cried bitterly, news from the system also arrived as promised. Blackening value plus 5,000. Current blackening value, 16,000. Host personality trust and dependence value, 72%. 60% cannot be dropped. Sure enough, Naruto only agreed verbally before, but he didn't agree in his heart. Now he followed Naruto's heart and expectations. The effect is immediate and immediate. Including the power of 9 tails and the fight against 10,000 snakes, the blackening value has increased by 5,000 in total. The trust and dependence value has only increased by 5% this time for items that can be dropped, but by 10% for items that cannot be dropped. Obviously, the closer to 80%, the smaller and more difficult the increase will be. Fengxu had a hunch that 80% of the main changes to the deputy and the deputy to the main would be a hurdle. At that time, more violent and intuitive emotional impact will definitely be needed to make a breakthrough. Just when Fengxu was accompanying Naruto in a deep brotherly relationship, 9 tails, who had been silent for a long time, finally stopped holding back. He laughed out loud. Ouch, I can't help it anymore, I can't bear it anymore, ha ha ha. 9 tails was like a urha, lying on the ground in the sealed space, laughing with his limbs in the air. If it were such a touching scene of brotherly harmony, it would naturally be a little transparent. But it was obvious that Fengxu had evil intentions, but Naruto was still moved to tears, which really made 9 tails feel like he couldn't laugh anymore. After a slight change of explanation and some coaxing, I completely believed it. To be honest, 9 tails now regrets why he didn't contact Naruto earlier and then tricked him into letting him go. Is it funny? Fengxu's faint voice sounded. I remember that dogs like to eat shit, so foxes, who are also members of the canine family, shouldn't dislike it, right? The newly built septic tank in my 4-star village is just right for the shadow clone linked to your chakra to taste it. Cough cough cough. 9 tails' laughter stopped abruptly. It was also because of the sudden stop that I started to cough with difficulty breathing. Then he opened his bloody mouth and roared with anger on his face. You brat, don't think that just because you are handsome and strong, you can do whatever you want. You are allowed to bury the hatchet, but I am not allowed to applaud your relationship. Humph, I not only want to laugh while lying on my stomach, I also want to laugh while kneeling. 9 tails, who was stubborn and unconvinced, gave Fengxu a performance on the spot, with a lamb in its paws kneeling to breast. Fengxu, Chapter 89. The 4-star village is emerging. Hokage+system+blackening+cool obtained the tailed beast chakra and then killed Orochimaru. Fengxu actually knows 8 gates Dunjia, and he can also open the 4th gate. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at the picture in the crystal ball with a livid face. My heart was full of doubts and fear, mixed with a lot of regret. As Dr. Ninjutsu, even if I didn't hear what everyone said in the conversation, just relying on his vision and experience, he can easily identify what ninjutsu is in the picture. But he never expected that Fengxu could actually activate 8 gates Dunjia? Could it be that this technique was recorded on the Forbidden Technique scroll that was stolen that time? Although 3 months have passed. But he clearly remembered that the scroll of forbidden arts prepared for Naruto contained 4 ninjutsu and no taijutsu, and even if he remembered it wrongly, it really recorded 8 gates Dunjia. But if you can practice to open 4 doors in the past 3 months, this talent can no longer be called a genius. Instead, they should be called monsters, and inhumans. In other words, Fengxu's personality has actually existed since Naruto's childhood. He can even come out at any time without being known by Naruto. He has just been hiding himself, practicing various ninjutsu, and mastering the 9 tails chakra. After all, he hadn't been observing Naruto with his telescope technique. Umbu's tracking is mainly for protection, and there may be some oversight and relaxation in monitoring. This time can be used to practice. And Metkai usually practices physical skills in various places in the village, so he can learn them secretly very well. This can also explain how the powerful physical skills, 9 tails chakra and 8 gates Dunjia displayed by Fengxu now come from. The more Sarutobi Hiruzen thought about it, the more reasonable it became. Although I don't understand why Naruto, who shares the same body, is so poor in physical skills. But this was the most reasonable explanation he could find. If I had known this, I shouldn't have been greedy 3 months ago. Let Yamanaka High lead the sealing team to cooperate with Naruto in sealing. Now he has completely gained Naruto's trust and has a firm foothold. Hiruzen Sarutobi was extremely regretful and wished he could slap Danzo for his big mouths. If he hadn't insisted on getting people to the headquarters at that time, he looked like he didn't take it seriously. I wouldn't have followed and ignored it, causing the current consequences. Now even if he wants to seal Fengxu, Naruto probably won't cooperate. Duanzo, who was hiding in a base somewhere, sneezed and felt a little heavy on his back for no reason. We can only take one step at a time. If it didn't work, Sarutobi Hiruzen could only use coaxing to get Naruto to cooperate with him. Or he was trying to find a way to make Fengxu massacre in the village and force Naruto to agree to the seal. Of course, if Fengxu had restrained himself and been more obedient, he would not have reached this point. After thinking about this matter clearly, Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Sasuke with a headache again. At the same time, there was a trace of imperceptible greed in his eyes. If this tailed beast chakra is given to him, he won't have to worry about Orochimaru at all, and his body might be able to return to its peak. It's a pity that he kept paying attention to Naruto and didn't see what happened between Sasuke and Orochimaru. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who shook his head and sighed, took back his greed, knocked on the table and started thinking. Who gave this tailed beast chakra to Sasuke, and what is its principle? Except for the legendary Golden Horn and Silver Horn, I've never heard of anyone other than Jinchuriki being able to use tailed beast chakra. just when Sarutobi Hiruzen was staring at the crystal ball in confusion. Yamato, who came out of the forest of death, opened the door and walked in respectfully. Lord Hokage. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded, and at the same time saw the remains of Orochimaru brought by Yamato. Oh, I didn't expect that he would use those studies to make himself into a human being and a ghost after all. After sighing, Sarutobi Hiruzen leaned forward and said, there is no need to talk about Naruto's information. Let's talk about Sasuke and the tailed beast chakra. Yes. Facing Sarutobi Hiruzen's question, Yamato quickly told himself and the information Anko learned after asking Sakura, given by a mysterious man with a mask summoned by a 4-star village ninja. Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned and reached out from the drawer to take out the documents about 4-star village. Using the priority to provide rice seeds with a yield of 1,000 kilograms per mu as a stepping stone, we joined the allies of the country of fire and sent people to take the exam. And he recruited several S-class wanted criminals, used rice seeds as threats, and successfully protected them. Many bounty hunters, a large number of Kirigakure pursuit troops, and elite spies from each village have disappeared in 4-star village. It is suspected that there is a shadow-level powerhouse. The water in a newly built ninja village is so deep, it's troublesome. It is suspected that the 4-star village of Cage level is enough to occupy a place in the ninja world. And there are also high-yielding rice seeds, which are used as a trump card. The daimyo of the country of fire will definitely not send troops to the country of waves to threaten the destruction of the country. There is a high probability that they can only rely on Konoha themselves to solve it. But now the news that he is suspected to be a shadow-level powerhouse can be confirmed without a doubt. Must be some powerful Jinchuriki living in exile. And he also has the ability to share the tailed beast chakra with others. With the people he has at his disposal now, there is absolutely no way he can do anything to the other party. But the good news is that 4-star village has shown no malicious intent so far, and the target seems to be just Sasuke. Among the new candidates, there was a Snow clan and a Uzumaki clan. Their supposed purpose is to collect blood inheritance limits? Sarutobi Hiruzen quickly analyzed the relevant information from the limited information. In that case, Sarutobi Hiruzen raised his head and looked at Yamato. Tenzo, please pass on what happened to Sasuke to Danzo and ask him to hand over this information to the right person. He really can't be messed with now, but we can let Itake, who is undercover outside, explore the truth. After all, Itake used genocide and village trading to protect Sasuke when he grew up. But he pretended to be a good person on the surface and secretly asked Danzo to take action. Although no news came back from the undercover Itake, but Sarutobi Hiruzen believed that Danzo would definitely have a way to deliver the message. With Itake's strength, he will definitely be able to disrupt the 4-star village when the time comes. And he can also take advantage of the chaos and send spies to sneak in. I see. Yamato nodded and didn't ask any more questions. Then he disappeared in a flash. The resting place of the Sound Ninja village. Orochimaru emerged from the mud with half a snake body. Orochimaru-sama. What's wrong with you? The 4 cursed seals are disguising themselves as ordinary ninjas and resting here. Seeing Orochimaru in this state, everyone quickly gathered around him. I'm fine. Orochimaru finally breathed a sigh of relief after seeing his men. After using up the last available chakra, White Snake Sage's true form faded away. From the open mouth, a body with the lower body of a snake slipped out. Then he gave instructions to the 4 people. Kidomaru, please inform Sand Shinobi to advance the plan, so that if Raza doesn't come before the end of the second exam, the plan will be cancelled. Teiwaya, please call the ninja village and ask Kimimaro to come over. Seikon, you go keep an eye on the Sand Shinobi and bring back the news once they set out. Jirobo, sneak into the examination room and bring the news to Kabuto. Although Orochimaru's first goal, to seduce Sasuke, was not completely successful. But in order not to let Naruto and Sasuke, who are stronger than expected, destroying the second target, Konoha collapsed the plan. Now Orochimaru can only take advantage of the 2 of them to take the exam and take the risk to advance the plan. Chapter 90 The Unlucky Sound Ninja Trio. Forest of Death? Fengxu, who was sitting on the stone, still closed his eyes tightly, his consciousness immersed in the sealed space. Next to him was Sasuke, who also had his eyes closed and was thinking about something. As for the other 2 classes that were receiving treatment from Sakura, they all looked at Fengxu curiously. Through Ino's narration of Naruto's bragging, plus Sakura's additions, they now basically know what kind of person Fengxu is. To sum up, he is more powerful than the teachers, he is kind to his own people, but he is very cruel and violent to his enemies. It can be said that any ninja who provokes Naruto will cause the wind to come out. Except for Jiraiya, one of the legendary Sannin, he was only seriously injured. The grass on other people's graves is now estimated to be 3 meters high. This includes top players such as Jonin and Elite Jonin. I didn't expect that Naruto, who used to be a clumsy crane, would actually have such a powerful subpersonality. It's really cool. Ya's eyes looking at Fengxu were filled with twinkling little stars. Speaking of the birth of 2 personalities, would it be so extreme? Ino looked at Fengxu and Sasuke like a bitch and drooled while talking. One is a stupid and unattractive guy, and the other is a genius with a very handsome temperament. This is a complete contrast between 2 extremes. I'm going to die. After 3 months, Naruto had caught up with all the food and nutrition. He no longer had the ordinary appearance of being sallow, thin, and lacking in energy. Coupled with the change in hairstyle and temperament after Fengxu came out, it can be said that the appearance is not inferior to Minato. Hinata has already reached the point where she will explode if she takes one more look, and will melt if she gets closer. While everyone was discussing Fengxu tirelessly, among the low bushes in the distance, the 3 sound ninjas were ordered by Orochimaru to kill Shizuke. With a dead horse look on his face, an eye peeked out from the bushes, peeping at everyone. Are we really going to kill Shizuke? The black-haired female voice named Jin couldn't help but turn around and ask her companions on both sides. There was a look of fear on her face that almost overflowed. Hey, you all saw what just happened. The one with yellow hair and the terrifying red chakra is like a ferocious beast and has injured so many people. There is a green chakra coming out from behind. Any blow will bring wind pressure, and it can also make a big hole in the ground. And the black-haired Shizuke is also wearing golden red chakra, and he's so fast that I can't even see his movements clearly. And after suffering a blow to the face that shattered the ground, nothing happened. Listening to Jindu's trembling voice, the 2 people on the side also looked gloomy and silent. After a while, the male voice named Sak, who had a black hedgehog head and holes like wind caves on his hands, spoke out. This is the mission given to us by Orochimaru-sama. Even if it means death, we must fulfill his request. The fact that we can live so long and possess such great strength is all given to us by Lord Orochimaru. Sark's face was full of determination, and he was already determined to die. After all, if Orochimaru hadn't saved him, he would have been beaten to death when he was stealing food as a child. That's right, Sak. Compared to Jin, this timid waste, I really like you more. Toss is wearing a spiked cape and a bandage on his head, with one eye exposed. He stood up slowly and walked out of the bushes. He hunched over, tilted his head and put his exposed one eye in front of Jin's eyes, and cold murderous intent filled the air. If you want to escape, I don't mind killing you now. If you wait for an opportunity to attack with us, you still have a chance of survival, and your family will not be implicated. The stern words and gaze made Jin tremble involuntarily. Then he quickly spoke out and explained to the 2 of them. Don't look at me like that, Toss, I won't run away. Right, Sark, explain it to me quickly. Humph. Sak snorted coldly, just as he was about to say something. A voice suddenly came from behind him, an emotionless and cold male voice. You sound ninja scum, you're blocking the road. Who is it? The 3 of them suddenly jumped out of the bushes. Then he turned around and looked towards the source of the sound behind him. It was Gaara who was carrying a gourd and crossing his arms, followed by Kankuro and Temari. It's those 3 sand shinobi. After seeing the person clearly, the 3 of them breathed a sigh of relief. They almost thought that their peeping was discovered by Shizuke or Naruto in the distance. We don't have time to pay attention to you now. If you don't want to lose your life, get out of here. Sak waved his hand, as if to drive away a puppy that came over. Hearing this, the word love on Gaara's forehead was swollen by the raised veins. But his expression didn't change at all. Stop talking nonsense and do it. I'll give you a chance to take action. Seeing that Gaara was a little angry and was about to take action, Kankuro quickly spoke to dissuade him. Gaara, we're just going to see what's going on with the big snake. Why don't we get into trouble? Besides, you are not considered an enemy. There is no need for you to waste your energy and fight fearlessly. So what? Gaara looked at the 3 Oto ninjas coldly. Everyone who touches me will die. Gaara, who knew about the alliance, was originally prepared to let these 3 sound ninja go. I just didn't expect that these 3 people didn't know his identity at all and dared to speak rudely to him. For this irrelevant and annoying little guy. Then he just wants to be clean and kill him casually? Since you are looking for death, I will help you. The hot-tempered Sak couldn't help it on the spot and took a step forward. Don't even take action, I will shatter him with my voice. As he spoke, Sak bowed and swooped out suddenly. The moment he got closer, he raised his palms, revealing the sound holes in his hands. A harsh sound and wind pressure caused the airflow in front of him, and he quickly rushed out of the hole. Zangkongbo, go to hell. Seeing that Gaara was motionless and stunned, Sak smiled proudly. However, Babang? What? Sak's smile froze in place. I saw Gaara motionless in front of me, his whole body surrounded by a solid sand shell. His attack only stirred up a little light sand, flying in the air. How come? It actually blocked my sound waves and air pressure so easily, and it wasn't affected at all. Sak, who did not believe in evil, took steps one after another and changed directions, constantly making harsh sounds and wind pressure. But every blow will be blocked by the sand that emerges automatically. Is this your air pressure and sound attack? Under the eggshell-like sand shell, Gaara's face was hidden in the darkness, revealing only a pair of eyes full of murderous intent. Let me show you the attack from pressure and the howling sound. Sandbound Coffin. Sandfall's Funeral. Chapter 91 The Crisis of Pig Deer Butterfly. When the words fall, Gaara formed a ninja seal with one hand and raised the other hand in the sky, facing Sak. The palms are raised up and facing forward, and the 5 fingers are bent into claws. In an instant, a large amount of sand is floating from all around. At extremely fast speeds, they formed palms in midair and grabbed Sark in front of him. Sark quickly pulled away and retreated, but at some point a large amount of fine sand appeared under his feet. It turned into 7 or 8 palms and firmly grasped Sark's ankle. When the movement was blocked, more palms turned into sand came to cover it. In just the blink of an eye, Sak was completely wrapped up, like a sandy coffin. Damn it, my body is imprisoned and I can't move at all. Only one face of Sak was exposed, with a ferocious expression. Then he anxiously shouted to the two people who were staring blankly on the other side, "Stop being in a daze, do it quickly." Toss and Jin also reacted immediately and rushed forward with roars. "Asshole, stop. Let go of Sak." Looking at the actions of the two men, Kankuro, who was watching the battle from the sidelines, couldn't help but laugh out loud. It's already too late. Gaara's sand can kill even the elite among the Chunin instantly. Unless it's Jonin, it's better to escape now. As if to confirm Kankuro's words, Gaara raised his hand high in the air, his palms bent into claws. The next moment, he suddenly clenched his fists. Sand waterfall funeral? Puff? Pattering? The scream only lasted for a moment and then stopped abruptly. Immediately afterwards, there was a rain of blood all over the sky, splattering down. Sak was wrapped in sand, and was squeezed inward by countless sands. It was so crowded. The kind of fried chicken steak? Quiet. The silence lasted less than 3 seconds before being broken. Escape. Toss and Jin, who were covered in blood, looked at each other in fear. He quickly turned around and fled in the direction of Fengxu behind him as quickly as possible. Lead Sand Shinobi over and have a conflict with those two monsters. We took the opportunity to hide and wait to reap the benefits. Turning your back to Gaara will only make you die faster. Temeri laughed disdainfully. These three sound ninjas were already dead from the moment they made rude remarks. Russell? What sounded together with Temeri's words was the sound of sand flying all over the sky. Looking at the two people escaping, Gaara once again raised his palm forward and then bent it into a claw. Sand-bound coffin? Just like before, the flying sand quickly formed palms, and they quickly grabbed forward. Fine sand rose from the ground, wrapping around Jin and Twasi's ankles. Seeing that both of them are about to be entangled, Ta suddenly raised his foot and kicked Jin on the body. Bang! In order to complete the mission, I have to sacrifice you, Jin. Using Jin's body as a springboard, Toss rushed out like a missile. Thus no. Jin's face was full of disbelief and resentment. The body also stagnated because of this kick, and was quickly chased by sand tightly wrapping it. Then with a pop, it turned into a rain of blood all over the sky, so decisive and ruthless. Using your companions as a stepping stone to escape is really a scumbag. This scene made Kankuro and Temeri on the side spit in disgust. They can still understand giving up and abandoning their companions for the mission, but they are only disgusted by people who attack their companions in order to escape for their lives. Shut up and catch up. A little minion could actually escape under his own control, and Gaara was immediately furious. After uttering a word, he was wrapped in a circle of sand and disappeared. The other side. Several people who were recovering from their injuries quickly became alert after hearing the screams not far away. There seems to be a fight nearby. Hinata stood up immediately and looked around with her Byakugan. Over there. Hinata quickly discovered the enemy and pointed to the forest on the left. A ninja wearing a sound infrared protector is being hunted. Looking at the figure running this way in the distance, Ya turned his head to look at Shikamaru and the other three and said, "Hey, Shikamaru, our team has obtained a pair of books of heaven and earth. The lone enemy will be left to you. There are so many people here. The pursuers behind us will definitely not dare to continue chasing after seeing them. Although their method of working together as a team from the same village is considered cheating. But it would be fine as long as they don't take action together." Before Shikamaru spoke, Ino nodded in agreement. "No problem, we will accept this enemy's scroll." After saying that, Ino pulled up Shikamaru's collar and Koji's scarf. "I quickly rushed to the front. It's really troublesome. I hope the pursuers behind me can be wiser." Shikamaru straightened the wrinkled collar, and caught Koji who was about to retreat with one hand. "Koji, don't think about running away, you always have to fight." Koji, who was pulled back, looked reluctant and complained softly. "Anyway, it's just one person. It's enough for you two to take action, and you don't need me. Stop complaining, the enemy is coming." Interrupting Koji's complaint, the three quickly set up their formation. Ahead, Toss looked surprised when he saw the three Shikamaru people. He raised the scroll in his arms high and shouted at several people, "Save me and I can give the scroll to you." Upon hearing Toss' request, the three of them were about to nod when they saw a gust of wind and sand blowing past. Immediately afterwards, Gaara, who used Sand Flash, stood in the middle. As he held the ninja seal with one hand, a calm voice sounded. "Suna Shiger. Sand Falls Funeral." Whoosh whoosh. Above Toss' head, a piece of sand mist quickly emerged. Then a large amount of sand turned into a rain of sand and exploded down. Toss was buried in an instant, and then all the sand suddenly squeezed inward. The screams were soon covered by the squeezing sand. The sand and dust were mixed with blood, and only the arm holding up the scroll was left exposed. This bloody scene stunned the three Shikamaru people in front. "Sorry for disturbance. We're leaving right now." Without hesitation, the three of them immediately turned around and planned to return to the rear. But as soon as they turned around, they found that the sand behind them rolled up and quickly formed a sand wall, firmly blocking the three people's way back. Gaara picked up the scroll on his raised arm and looked at the three of them solemnly. "It was just a warm-up, now you guys can play with me." Gaara. Just when Gaara was about to take action, Kankuro and Temeri rushed here, reaching out to stop Gaara's movements. "Did you get the scroll? If it's the Book of Heaven, then forget it. Killing too many people will be found to be wrong, even if we beg you. How dare you point fingers at me?" Gaara frowned, looking like he was disturbed. Then he looked down at the scroll in his hand and threw it towards the two of them. Book of Earth, if you still dare to hinder me, I will kill you too. Taking the scroll, the two looked at Shikamaru and the others with a hint of pity in their eyes. We understand. Just leave those people in the back to us, we won't let them bother you. Chapter 92 I heard your cry for help. What you are missing is the Book of Heaven. Our team just happens to be here, I'll give it to you right away. Seeing that Gaara wouldn't let the three of them leave, Ino quickly took out the scroll from her ninja bag. He put it on the ground respectfully, with an apologetic smile on his face. I gave you the scrolls, can you let us go now? Gaara didn't even look at the scroll on the ground. He kept staring at the three Shikamaru people, as if he were looking at three dead people. You guys do it. Kill me and you will survive. But we already have the scroll. Ino also wanted to clarify the stakes. But Gaara already raised his hand impatiently. Ino, stop talking and get into the formation of pig, deer, and butterfly. Koji, prepare to attack and wait for my news. Shikamaru, who saw that Gaara only wanted to kill people, quickly shouted while forming seals with his hands. Clear. Although Koji wanted to run away, he mustered up the courage to stand at the front. Secret technique, expansion jutsu. As he spoke, he quickly made seals with his hands. The moment the seal was completed, the body suddenly expanded outward, like an inflated balloon. Next is Konoha's fluid technique, meat bomb chariot. Koji retracted his head into his collar and bent his limbs to fit his body. The whole person turned into a round sphere and quickly rushed towards Gaara in front. This ninjutsu, are you fooling me? Looking at the funny meatball rolling at high speed, the veins on Gaara's forehead jumped. Let me show you what a murderous ninjutsu is. As he spoke, the ninja seal in Gaara's hand had been completed. He raised his palm high again, aiming at the rolling meatball and preparing to hold it. Sand binding, my body. The expression on Gaara's face changed for the first time. He glanced around with suspicious eyes. At a glance, I saw the elongated shadow under my feet. This is Shikamaru's ninjutsu, shadow mimicry? He is too strong. After I control him, I can't control him to move at all. Ino, it's up to you. Shikamaru's forehead was beaded with beads of sweat. Jillian's hand is also shaking constantly, as if it will be broken out of control in the next second. Receive. I leave my body to you. Ino also finally completed the seal. He formed a triangle with his hands in front of his chest, and then aimed at Gaara, who was unable to move. The secret technique, the art of turning the heart around. A burst of spiritual energy suddenly shot out from the triangle. Ino's body also immediately fell to Shikamaru. Koji, now, knock him away, and then we retreat quickly. Koji, who was still wandering around, heard Shikamaru's shout and immediately understood that Gaara had been arrested. Now it's up to him to deliver the final blow. Receive. Watch my flesh bomb impact. The high-speed moving meatball brings out smoke and dust. Finally, it suddenly crashed into Gaara, who was motionless in front of him. Then, bang! I saw Gaara, who was originally defenseless, in front of him. Suddenly, a sand shell like an eggshell appeared, covering his entire body, and there are sharp sand spines outside the sand shell, just like sea urchins in the sea. Koji, who bumped into him without any precautions, was instantly deflated and howled miserably. Wow! At the same time, Ino in Shikamaru's arms also groaned, and blood began to ooze from her mouth and nose. How come? Shikamaru, who was holding Ino, shouted in disbelief. Koji, Ino, I am fine. Koji in front had several blood holes on his body. After struggling for a long time, he managed to get up, rolling and crawling back. Ino spat out a mouthful of blood again and woke up screaming. And then he pointed at Gaara in the distance with fear. Ah, monster, there is a monster sealed in his body. What? Shikamaru suddenly seemed to have guessed something. His face suddenly turned extremely ugly. Could it be that with Naruto? Before Shikamaru could finish speaking, sand thorns all over the sky burst out from the sky. Whoosh! Clang clang clang! Ah! Dragging the injured Ino, Shikamaru's upper body barely escaped. But in order to protect Ino, the lower body was pierced through the legs by more than 10 sand thorns. You guys really pissed me off. Gaara, whose secret was spied on by Ino. The expression on his face was angry and twisted. A large amount of sand appeared, rolling and rising around him, creating a sandstorm. Now, I will give you the most painful way to die. With distortion and anger, Gaara quickly formed seals with his hands in front of his chest. Quicksand falls. As his palms suddenly closed together, countless sand appeared under Gaara's feet and spread rapidly. In just the blink of an eye, a wave of sand formed like a tsunami, blocking out the sky. Then with a terrifying shadow, it shrouded the three people of Shikamaru. Looking at the natural disaster like sandstorm, Koji suddenly calmed down. He took out a transparent box containing 3 color pills and held it in his hand. At the same time, he turned around with a different smile than usual. Shikamaru, thank you for your usual care and trust in me. Koji, do you want to? Shikamaru looked very ugly when he saw the pill in Koji's hand. But he was interrupted by Koji mid-sentence. That's right. Koji's smile was filled with reluctance and nostalgia. It's a pity that I haven't finished all the snacks I hid. I'm really unwilling. As he spoke, he took out all 3 pills and put them to his mouth. Finally, you and Ino, you must survive. Damn, that ninjutsu, Shikamaru them. Seeing the sand blocking out the sky and sun in the distance, I immediately wanted to rush over. but he was stopped by Temari, who suddenly appeared. You can't go there if you don't want to lose your life. Kankuro also appeared at the side. You will die in vain if you go. If a ninjutsu of that level is smashed down, there will basically be no living creatures within the range. Asshole. Yaya was not a fool, so he could only stop and look over there. Behind them, Shino and Hinata quietly walked around to surround Kankuro and Temari. As long as I tie you up, I can threaten your teammates to stop this technique. Shino stroked his sunglasses and his voice could be heard for the first time. Want to use us to threaten Gaara? Temari couldn't help laughing. It's a pity that you made the wrong calculation. Leaving aside whether it's useful or not, do you think you can beat us? Temari swung the huge fan behind her back and stood it in front of her. Kankuro also pulled off the bandage, revealing the crow puppet. Sakura suddenly remembered something and hurried to the back where Fengxu and Suzuki were sitting. Suzuki, Fengxu, go and save Shikamaru and the others. Facing Sakura's call, the two people with their eyes closed remained motionless, as if they had fallen asleep. Sakura immediately stepped forward, ready to reach out and shake Suzuki to the left. But before her hand could touch Suzuki, she was pushed out. Suzuki opened his eyes slightly and glanced at Sakura emotionlessly, then continued to close his eyes. Sakura looked to the other side again, and saw Fengxu who was still motionless. Suddenly, a deep despair enveloped my heart, and I collapsed to the ground. He turned around and looked at the sand waterfall that was about to collapse. Sakura, who was paralyzed on the ground, finally remembered another name. By the way, Naruto and Naruto. Naruto, come out quickly. Naruto, buzz! As Sakura shouted, a wave of wind pressure swept out. At the same time, the golden red light flashed from the side and rushed towards the sand waterfall in the distance like a rainbow. Immediately afterwards, Naruto's voice sounded belatedly. Sakura, I heard your cry for help. Chapter 93 One-Tail Shikaku with a weird smile. It's Naruto. He heard my cry. Looking at Naruto who had rushed into the huge sand waterfall, Sakura let out a long sigh of relief. Although Fengxu refused to help, but Naruto can now also use Nine Tails chakra, which is just as ridiculously powerful. Besides, even if Naruto can't handle it, the Fengxu in his body certainly couldn't ignore the danger Naruto was in. In the end, I had no choice but to come to the rescue myself. With Fengxu's strength, Shikamaru and the others must be safe. Thinking of this, Sakura couldn't help but give her a thumbs up for her wit. In the sand waterfall. Call out. As a scarlet rainbow passed by, Shikamaru, who has sharp eyesight and quick hands, doesn't care about the injury on his leg. He pounced on Koji forcefully, reached out and opened Koji's mouth. From his mouth, he took out 3 pills that he had not yet swallowed. Spit it out, Koji, don't even swallow it. Look ahead, is it Naruto or Fengxu who is coming? Although it is said that this pill may not cause death after being taken. But I couldn't stand it, so Koji ate 3 of them together. Shikamaru didn't want that when he was about to be rescued, Koji would make a mistake and die in vain. Vomit. Upon hearing Shikamaru's words, Koji quickly spat. She also dug her throat with her fingers, fearing that some of the melted pills might get into her stomach. Ino on the side looked forward with a shocked face. Looking at the powerful back tearing apart the sand waterfall with the chakra fox tail, he was deeply caught in the sight. It's amazing. Shikamaru and Koji finished taking the pills. I also saw the shocking scene ahead. The small body burst out with powerful power, fighting against the natural disaster that enveloped the entire sky. Naruto at this moment was so cool in their eyes, recalling the little figure who was ostracized by everyone and could only stay in the corner alone. Then he looked at the back that felt so secure and had grown a lot taller. Shikamaru couldn't help but feel a little dazed, and asked loudly, are you Naruto, or Fengxu? Naruto, who only uses the power of one tail, has a lot of sense. He turned his head and pulled out a smile that suppressed killing and mania. I am Uzumaki Fengxu's younger brother, Uzumaki Naruto. Shikamaru smiled happily when he heard this familiar accent and content. Naruto is finally no longer alone, he has strong strength and even stronger backing. Koji on the side also shouted, come on Naruto, beat this little brat with black eyes to death. Naruto laughed and looked forward again, his tone full of confidence and determination. Don't worry, leave it to me. I will definitely take you all out safely. As he spoke, Naruto's scarlet Nine Tails chakra became even stronger. It is also easier to control the fox tail to resist the sand waterfall. Next second, give me, separate. Tear. The overwhelming sand waterfall was finally separated by scarlet. Then it quickly spread towards the woodland on both sides. In the blink of an eye, a desert hundreds of meters in size was formed. Gaara looked at Naruto who suddenly appeared in front of him, as well as the 3 Shikamaru who were intact behind him. Suddenly he covered half of his face with one hand, and the expression on the other side was twisted and angry. It's you? You can actually break through my quicksand waterfall. Gaara's rage was filled with disbelief. This guy who was almost killed by him with one blow before the exam actually has such strength? This disgusting smell, is that stinky fox Karema. In Gaara's consciousness, a sharp and harsh voice sounded. A fat raccoon dog made of sand opened its eyes in the darkness, revealing dark diamond-shaped pupils. One-tail Shikaku? Bah, bah, bah. Disgusting, so disgusting. Shikaku, who sensed the Nine Tails chakra, immediately let out a piercing scream. At the same time, Gaara was still jumping around wildly and vomiting in his consciousness. This noisy and harsh sound immediately gave Gaara a splitting headache. Damn bastard, don't bother me now. Covering his head, Gaara's expression had become a little crazy. But Shikako had already followed Gaara's line of sight and saw Naruto filled with 9 tails chakra. GGGG. It is indeed that disgusting and hateful stinky fox. Hey, brat, give me your body quickly, and I'll help you kill everyone. Kill them all. GGGG. Shut up. Gaara gasped and yelled. Drool flowed down the corners of his mouth that was widened due to the distorted expression. Naruto on the other side thought Gaara was yelling at him. Suddenly he looked forward angrily, pointed at Gaara and shouted. Dark circles, use whatever moves you have. I won't let you hurt my friends, not even a little bit. Friend. Gaara suddenly raised his head when he heard this, looking at Naruto who looked as ferocious and terrifying as when he ran away. Looking back again, the 3 Shikamaru people had trusting expressions on their faces. Gaara finally couldn't bear it anymore. We are all the same, why can you get their love, but I can only feel my own love. If I kill you, I can feel everything. As long as I kill you, my existence will not disappear. Madness roared. Gaara's left eye was covered with sand. In an instant, the appearance of Shikaku's left eye was formed. GGGG, that's it, you brat. Push harder, I'll give it all to you, kill this stinky fox. Shikaku in Gaara's consciousness was also laughing maniacally. Crazy output of your own chakra? Gaara also roared, and his hands suddenly covered the ground. Sand waterfall burial. Rumble? In an instant, the entire small desert began to shake. The gravel covering the ground also began to flow at high speed inexplicably, forming a large area of terrifying quicksand. No, it's starting again. The moment he felt the sinking beneath his feet, Naruto jumped in front of Shikamaru and the others. While the 3 of them were not trapped by the quicksand, they quickly rolled them up with their fox tails and threw them outside. You actually still have the mood to save others. Push me to the ground 200 meters below and completely shatter your bones. Seeing that Naruto was still rescuing people, the furious Gaara bent his hands forward into claws, and then shook them hard. In an instant, all the quicksand sank faster. At the same time, small sandstorms rolled up all around, and the whole package was squeezed towards Naruto. Let me go. The wrapped Naruto also began to struggle crazily. The 9 tails chakra on his body is constantly being swept out. But these sands added with Shikaku chakra dispersed and immediately closed up like gangrene attached to the bones. Seeing Naruto being completely wrapped up, unable to escape. There was also a constant clicking sound of sand squeezing. 9 tails couldn't sit still while watching this scene. He didn't want Shikaku to tease him about this in the future. What an idiot. He can't even defeat Jinchuriki, the weakest Tanuki with only 1 tail. Saying that, 9 tails took a peek at Fengxu not far away. Then he quietly tapped the floor with his sharp claws. Suddenly, bits of pure chakra quietly overflowed. If you can't win this, I won't give this stupid brat any power at all in the future. Chapter 94 Naruto is pretending again. If it weren't for fear, it would output chakra with hatred after it passes. This caused Naruto to go berserk and uncontrollable, and then he hid his consciousness in while Fengxu went out. 9 tails had already output chakra all at once, causing Naruto to go berserk and kill everyone. Of course, this is why it can output chakra to Naruto so easily. It was still because Fengxu had unlocked the 4-image seal inside. Only the outer layer of the 4-symbol seal is left, maintaining the sealed space while preventing it from escaping. It's a pity that 9 tails doesn't know that. There is no conscious space outside, but Fengxu is in the sealed space. He would not be replaced again by Naruto who took the initiative to escape. It was replaced before simply because the body needed a consciousness to control it. Naruto took the initiative to escape into this separated space. Fengxu, who was in the subconscious where there was no barrier, was actively pulled out by his body. But now Fengxu has also entered this sealed space and has not left. If Naruto dares to escape after going berserk now, there will only be a body left outside that has no subjective consciousness and is driven purely by hatred. It will not stop action until the chakra is exhausted. Outside world. With the infusion of pure chakra from 9 tails, Naruto instantly felt that the hatred from 9 tails chakra was inexplicably diluted. If he could only maintain his sanity in 1 tail state before, then he can keep a little 5 tails sanity now. Thinking of this, Naruto didn't hesitate at all. Immediately, more 9 tails chakra was pulled out from the sealed space in the abdomen. At the same time, crackling, the gravel that was tightly bound around Naruto, wrapping him into a huge ball, was still squeezing in. Suddenly it shattered into countless small openings, and scarlet chakra escaped outward. It's useless, this is my home court now. As he spoke, Gaara used more Shikaku chakra. His right eyebrow also followed the left one, becoming Shikaku's appearance. Then more gravel rose from the ground. They swarmed towards the rapidly breaking gravel shell, wrapping the already huge ball even bigger. But the next second, boom, brush, a huge ball made of gravel, pierced by a scarlet chakra foxtail from the inside. Then the foxtail instantly circled around. Cut the entire ball of gravel in the blink of an eye. Naruto emerged from the ball, stepping on the falling gravel shell. Bend your body and squat down, use your legs. Using this gravel shell as a stepping stone, he pulled out a red shadow in midair and rushed towards Gaara in front. Call out. Looking at Naruto who was rushing towards him, Gaara's pupils shrank suddenly and he put his hands on his chest. At this moment, he felt a sense of crisis that he had never felt before. Under the protection of sand, no one can hurt me. This sense of crisis made him even angrier, and he couldn't help but roar. At the same time, a large amount of sand no longer gathered forward, but blocked Gaara's front. Sand shield? This is the love from Gaara's mother, and it is also the absolute protection for him and the absolute defense against others. It's a pity that this absolute defense encountered an attack that reached the upper limit. Bang bang! Naruto rushed towards him, his fist wrapped in red chakra. It penetrated the sand shield in front of it in an instant, shattered the sand armor outside Gaara's skin. A hard punch hit him in the face. Gaara's whole body was like a rag, flying backwards quickly. Pieces of bright red blood were sprinkled in the air. How can it be? Gaara's defense was actually broken, and he was even injured. This scene. Temari and Kankuro, who were standing on the treetops watching the battle hundreds of meters away, were stunned. Originally, they planned to let Gaara vent his anger and then come out to comfort him so that Gaara could regain his composure. But now it seems, Gaara, who was injured and bleeding, would definitely go crazy, and even use the tailed beast transformation and fake sleeping techniques. No, we can't let the later plans have an impact. Temari and Kankuro looked at each other and had no time to care about anyone else. They quickly jumped off the treetops and rushed towards the man-made desert in front of them. At this time, Naruto also saw Gaara's appearance clearly. Are you like me? You also have some kind of monster sealed inside your body. Facing Naruto's questions, Gaara turned a deaf ear. He reached out and grabbed the sand scattered on the ground, his face full of confusion. Mom, what's wrong with you? What is this hot thing? Touching the blood that was constantly oozing from the corner of his mouth, a loose tooth fell into Gaara's hand. This is teeth, it's blood. These are my own teeth and blood. Ah! Looking at the blood-stained teeth on his hand, Gaara let out a cry of panic and bewilderment. A huge amount of sand also appeared in an instant, and then covered half of Gaara's body. A huge raccoon dog tail made of sand quickly extended from his back. Damn good-for-nothing brat, I gave you so much, but you still can't defeat that stinky fox's chakra. I'll give it all to you, use more of it and kill him quickly. Otherwise, let me come out and I will kill him instead of you, a loser who can't do anything. Shikaka, who was watching Gaara being beaten, was furious in the seal at this moment. Everyone from 2 tails to 8 tails can defeat it, but not even Kurama, a foul-mouthed fox. Yes, kill him? I want to kill him. Shikaka's sharp and harsh voice immediately reminded the crying Gaara. With a crazy killing intent on his face, he looked at Naruto in front of him fiercely. Then it suddenly turned into a phantom and jumped out. Whoosh! Again. Facing Gaara's claws. The fox tail behind Naruto swung forward, easily blocking him in front. Then he punched Gaara again, hitting Gaara so hard that he fell backwards. No, you can't beat me now. The powerful power brought great confidence and pleasure to Naruto. Fengxu's side also kept reminding him to record the blackening value. Kill you. Killing you will prove my existence. Seeing that he was easily knocked away again, Gaara's expression became even more ferocious. There are more and more parts of the body that have turned into beasts, and the human shape is no longer visible at all. Gaara, stop, have you forgotten your plan to revive the village? At the critical moment, Temari and Kankuro, with fear on their faces, stood in front of them, one on the left and the other on the right. Brother and sister, please stop. You can vent your anger however you want, even kill us. Then I will kill you. The furious Gaara stabbed the two of them directly with his palm. Chapter 95 Sasuke, Naruto, you trash. The two of them closed their eyes and waited for death without any resistance. I just hope Gaara can wake up after seeing the blood. Stop, aren't you companions? Naruto was also a little confused when he saw this scene. After reacting, he quickly stepped forward, preparing to block Gaara's attack. But Naruto was still a step too late. When I saw Gaara's claws, they were about to tear their bodies apart. The claws suddenly stopped, and then instantly turned into gravel and fell to the ground. At the same time, the Shikaka look on his face disappeared, returning to Gaara's angry cheeks. He gritted his teeth and stared at the two of them, then retracted his hand and turned around to leave. Don't follow me. If you dare to stop me from venting again, I will definitely kill you. Although Gaara has always said that he should love himself and live for himself so that his existence will not disappear. But in his heart, he still looks forward to the care of his relatives or friends. Even though he repeatedly said he wanted to kill Temari, Kankuro, and his father. But in the end, he couldn't do it. Seeing that Gaara didn't take action, Kankuro was in disbelief at first, and then breathed a sigh of relief. I almost thought I was going to die. I didn't expect Gaara to stop at the last moment. Temari also patted her chest, looking frightened. Then he suddenly remembered something and quickly chased forward. Gaara, wait for us. You are injured and still bleeding, let me treat you. In Tsunagakure village, Gaara has never been so miserable. Now that she was injured, she just stepped forward to care. Let's see if we can have a better relationship with this terrible and pitiful brother. Gaara paused slightly when he heard Temari's cry. Then without looking back, he used the sand to instantly disappear from the spot. It looked like he was running away. Naruto, just leave without even looking at him? So, what is the point of this fight? Shaking his head, Naruto took the 9 tails chakra back into his body and thanked him in his heart. Kurama, thank you so much just now. Although you must be afraid of Fengxu, I still want to thank you. Naruto thought that the help from 9 tails just now was due to Fengxu's pressure. After all, not long ago, the relationship between the two improved a lot. And now he starts to offend Nine Tails for himself, which is proof. Naruto felt warm in his heart when he thought of this, and his mood also improved. Huh, stupid kid, just be so stupid. Naruto's words made Nine Tails in the sealed space mutter speechlessly. Then he looked at Fengxu and explained, don't think too much, I just don't want to lose to that stupid civet cat. Besides, I am doing this just to avoid troubling you, otherwise he would have gone on a rampage and killed everyone. Fengxu glanced at Nine Tails and ignored it. Turn your attention to the blackening value you just obtained. Blackening value plus 2000. Current blackening value, 18,000. Fengxu did not immediately choose to redeem the 18,000 blackening value. He planned to save it first to prepare for Nagato's Samsara Eyes. And he has already sent one of his shadow clone and Zabuza to the Hidden Rain village. If nothing goes wrong, you should be able to join after showing your strength. At that time, you will also be able to see the blackening value required for redemption. Later, his plan to break through 80% would require the use of the Samsara Eye. I just hope that the blackening value I want is not high, otherwise I will have to start with Nagato. Outside, everyone who was watching the battle from behind saw the battle end and hurriedly gathered around. Among them, Yae is the most excited one. He rushed up and put his arms around Naruto's shoulders. Naruto, you are so uninteresting. You actually secretly left us behind to become so strong, and also became so cool. No way, ha ha ha. Touching the back of his head, Naruto laughed proudly. Compared to Naruto who was happy, Shikamaru and the other three had bleak expressions on their faces. We have no chance at all in this Chunin exam. Not only was the scroll buried in the sand, but it was also seriously injured. Even with Sakura's help and treatment, by the time the injuries are healed, these teams will have cleared the level long ago, because there are only 26 teams in total. To pass, half of the requirements for these two scrolls must be cleared. Not to mention that there are people like Gaara who just got the same scroll and then continue to look for other teams. In this case, wait until they are healed before grabbing the two scrolls. The difficulty is really ridiculously high. Sasuke didn't know when he came here. After scanning the battlefield, he looked at Naruto and shook his head in disappointment. If it were me just now, the power of a tail would be enough to defeat me. If it's Fengxu, you don't even need a tail, you can win with physical skills alone. But you used nearly the power of 2 tails, and you still haven't been able to finish off the enemy. Although Naruto also learned from Fengxu and used the chakra tail, but the essence is not used at all, just copying the gourd. The attack is only based on fists, without using the powerful defense and terrifying plasticity brought by the tailed beast chakra. If it were him, when those packages of sand arrived, the powerful chakra surrounding him was instantly cut and blown away. Even during the final blow, he would let chakra wrap around his fist. Form a sharp shape that is more likely to cause damage, or a blunt and heavy shape that is powerful and heavy. He won't give his opponent a chance to stand up again. What? Naruto didn't react immediately after hearing Sasuke's analysis. After being stunned for a moment, he shouted angrily, Sasuke, stop bragging. I am not your pure-tailed beast chakra, but it is hundreds of times harder to control than you. If it were a simple chakra like yours, I would have defeated my opponent long ago. Easy, you say. Sasuke looked sideways at Naruto, a thin layer of golden red rising from his body. Let's take action. Even with just a trace of the tailed beast's chakra, I can easily defeat you. Just fight. Unconvinced, Naruto was ready to fight on the spot. Fortunately, Sakura on the side pulled her down. Hinata on the side opened her eyes just right. He changed the subject in a timid voice. Well, I found the scroll with my white eyes, just under the sand over there. There are 2 of them. 2 scrolls. Ino, who was still weak at first, immediately became energetic after hearing Hinata's words. Her pale face was rosy with excitement. It must be the scroll that killed the unlucky guy at the beginning. The black eye didn't take it away. With that said, Ino quickly ran to the direction Hinata pointed to, took out a kunao and started digging. Sakura also took the opportunity to say, Naruto, use your multiple shadow clone to help Ino, she is still a wounded person. Seeing Sakura's begging expression, Naruto immediately forgot about Sasuke. With a smug smile, he quickly formed the ninja seal. Multiple shadow clone techniques. Chapter 96 Minato takes action. Under the excavation of a large number of shadow clone, 2 scrolls were soon dug out, one day at a time. Because it was Naruto who defeated the enemy and saved Shikamaru, Ino and Koji who were almost dead. Therefore, Shikamaru and the others were naturally not shy about taking the additional Book of Earth. They just retrieved the Book of Heaven that Ino had taken out at the beginning. And Naruto, who got the Book of Earth, just collected 1 day and 1 earth. Next, all he had to do was rush to the center of the Death Forest and successfully pass the second exam. After distributing the scrolls, it was almost dark. In order to help Shikamaru, Ino, and Koji receive treatment after being injured twice in a row, Naruto and Sakura decided to find a place to rest for the night with them. Sasuke didn't refuse. He didn't care about the ranking in the Chunin exam at all. He just kept looking at Naruto with eyes that became more and more provocative and unhappy. It's like he's about to step forward and start a fight at any time. As for Kiba, Hinata, Shino, and the others, because I had already collected the 2 scrolls of heaven and earth, I said goodbye to a few people and left. He planned to waste no time and rush to the tower in the center of the forest overnight. Behind the tree trunk not far away, Kabuto, who was wearing black-rimmed glasses, withdrew his prying eyes. He gently touched the glasses on the bridge of his nose, frowning in confusion. To be able to fight Shikako, who turned into a half-tailed beast without losing, Naruto has indeed mastered the power of 9 tails. It seems that the 10,000 snakes summoned by Orochimaru-sama this afternoon are also fighting with him. But what's going on, Sasuke? Why can he also use the tailed beast's chakra? There is also the tailed beast chakra that emerged from his body, and the curse seal of the sky that was successfully planted on his neck. Could it be that Orochimaru-sama has made a huge breakthrough in his recent research on the 8 tails beast chakra? So you gave the 8 tails chakra and the heavenly curse seal to Sasuke. Kabuto didn't quite believe his conjecture. After all, these two together are too powerful. Judging from Sasuke's aura and disdain for Naruto, with the strength of elite Jonin, he may not necessarily be his opponent? Shaking his head, Kabuto took out a pen and notebook and wrote down all the information he just saw. When the exam starts in the afternoon, he did not enter from the same entrance as Naruto and the others, nor did he enter with the grass ninja disguised as Orochimaru and the trio of sound ninjas. Instead, in order to avoid suspicion, they found a relatively far entrance. However, not long after he came in, he separated from his teammates. Alone, he started looking for traces of Naruto and Sasuke. After that, he was attracted by the appearance of Wanshi and rushed here quickly. Unfortunately, the battle was over when he arrived, and he only saw the scene of Sakura helping everyone heal. I couldn't see Sasuke taking action and the half of the white snake's true body left behind by Orochimaru. However, the battle between Naruto and Gaara later, and Sasuke almost started fighting with Naruto. But he saw the whole process clearly from a distance. Who is it? Suddenly, he saw the raised pocket on the ground from the corner of his eye and frowned. He raised his hand and fired a row of shurikens in that direction. Swish, swish, swish. As the shuriken pierced the ground, the raised ground returned to normal. It turned into a bulge on the ground on the other side, and then a big fat man jumped out. Kabuto Yakushi, it's me, Jirobo. Looking at Jirobo with the purple robe tied around his body, Kabuto relaxed his frown and asked aloud, "What are you doing here? I remember Orochimaru-sama, but I asked you to hide in the station and wait until the plan begins." Jirobo nodded, "Of course I know. But Orochimaru-sama has returned to the station now and asked me to inform you. Originally, I waited until the daimyo came to watch the battle before planning ahead. I asked you to go out with me now. The plan has been advanced." Kabuto was a little surprised and confused, but he quickly thought of something and asked, "Is it because of Naruto and Sasuke?" "I don't know." Jirobo shook his head, with a hint of impatience on his face. "I'm just here to convey the news. If you have any questions, you can go back and ask Mr. Orochimaru." Kabuto didn't react at all to Jirobo's disrespectful tone. Instead, he smiled and nodded, "That's right. Since the plan has been advanced, there is no point in continuing the exam." With that said, Kabuto took out the 2 scrolls of heaven and earth that he had obtained. Then it was opened directly, revealing the psychic ninjutsu with human characters engraved inside. Bang! After a burst of summoning white smoke, the voice of the Invigilator Chunin came from inside. "Open the scroll halfway and you'll be scammed." "Aha! Call out." The blue chakra scalpel brings out a bright red blood flower. The Invigilator Chunin had an expression of disbelief. Covering his neck, he leaned back and fell down. Kabuto smiled and took back the chakra on his palm. Then he knelt down and patted the body of the Invigilator Chunin with his hand. The art of dead soul? The body that had started to become cold suddenly started beating? Then he stood up like a living person and walked to Kabuto. Seeing this scene, Jirobo was shocked in his heart and felt a deep chill all over his body. Kabuto said indifferently, "You go back and answer your orders first. I will go out immediately in the name of being eliminated." That night, in front of the Shimura clan's mansion. "Hey, cool guy with blonde hair, pretty girl with red hair, and that cool guy with black hair. Is this the place where you can kill people?" Looking at the luxurious mansion with the closed door ahead, Haiden, who had been banned from killing for many days, had already excitedly grasped the 3-month scythe behind him. However, in order not to make a mistake and be punished, he turned around to confirm with the 3 people around him. "What black-haired guy? My name is Uchiha Madara." 9 Tails turned to glare at Haiden. Then he turned around and crossed his arms with a haughty expression. "Don't ask me, I don't know. I'm just bored and came here to eat." 9 Tails is finally able to enjoy human life. In the afternoon, we ate wildly at the station in 4-star village until evening. If he hadn't seen Minato, Kushina, and this Haiden running out sneakily, it plans to eat it all in one go until tomorrow morning? After all, except for Sage of 6 Paths, it has never been linked to chakra by anyone else. This time I finally connected to chakra. "You must have a good time? Is the Shimura family so rich now?" Minato looked at this stretch of mansions in a daze. If it hadn't been for Shimura written on it, he would have thought this was the territory of the Hyuga or Uchiha clan. Chapter 97 Nightmare Yellow Flash. If the Shimura clan is like this, the Sarutobi clan must be even richer. Kushina on the side cursed angrily in a low voice. "What else protects the Hokage and roots of Konoha? I think they are the leeches and leeches lying on Konoha's body sucking blood. No, even leeches and leeches are being underestimated. Even the property of the martyrs must be embezzled. This is simply a disgusting tumor and pustule." That's right, that's right. 9 Tails on the side nodded in agreement. "We should kill them all, leaving no one alive." Listening to the words of one man and one fox shouting and killing, Minato withdrew his gaze. We are not here to retaliate and kill people. It's better not to cause too much of a sensation. As he spoke, he pointed to the area behind the mansion and said, it's not here. The ancestral hall Fengxu mentioned should still be at the back. Not killing people. Haiden scratched his head in confusion. Why are you calling me if you don't want to kill someone? You're not asking me to accompany you on a night run, right? Watergate. Feeling a little tired, Haiden only heard the word kill when considering the plan he told at the beginning. Haiden, let me tell you my goal for tonight again. Loot and destroy Feng, the 2 root bases that your evil god said. I am responsible for taking the blood, you are responsible for killing him with 1 blow using the curse ritual, and Kushina and Karema are responsible for blocking the exit. It must be resolved quickly and without making too much noise. Finally take away all the intelligence and evidence in the base, do you understand? Because Minato is now just a chakra, similar to Shadow Clone, his body is very fragile. Therefore, he only planned to rely on the speed of Flying Thunder God to draw blood, and did not plan to fight head-on. Anyway, Fengxu and him are linked to chakra, so there is no need to worry about Flying Thunder God consuming too much. Fengxu can replenish him with pure 9 tails chakra at any time. Even if Fengxu is too late, the 9 tails on the side can still be used as a power bank. I understand. Haiden waved the 3-month scythe with an excited look on his face. I guarantee that those people whose blood you take will feel the gift from the evil god and experience the ultimate joy. Watergate. The co-author still only heard about taking blood to kill, and he said it again in vain. Ha ha ha, you are very interesting, I like you very much. 9 tails patted Haiden's shoulder appreciatively, but Haiden avoided it in disgust. Kushina, on the other hand, had a gentle look on her face and said with a smile, Minato, you are so attentive and gentle. As soon as she finished saying the word gentle, Kushina performed a Sichuan opera face change, and her hair flew into the air. Did you think I would say that? I'm telling you, if you continue to babble and repeat nonsense, you will be unable to eat and walk around. When Kushina yelled, Minato shrank his neck subconsciously. Then he quickly walked to the front and greeted. Follow me, this way. Below the shrine of the Shimura clan, 2 root ninjas were patrolling the dark passage. Suddenly, a kunao with strange runes came towards the 2 of them from a distance. Hearing the sound of kunao breaking through the air, the 2 of them immediately turned their heads to avoid it without any hesitation. However, the next second, the kunao suddenly disappeared. Turned into Minato wearing a god robe? Well, the 2 root ninjas were just about to scream. But I found that the sound I made was like a leaking bellows. There was also a hint of pain in my neck. Immediately afterwards, the warm heat flowed down the skin. It's the blood dripping from the slit throat. 11th, 12th. A voice like a Shinigami's whisper sounded from the water gate. A root ninja with only the strength of Chunin. Even if Minato is not his true form now, he can easily kill him with 1 strike. At the same moment Minato killed both of them. Deep in the base, a row of shurikens roared towards them. Whoosh! At the same time, there was a shocked exclamation. 4th Hokage, Namikaze Minato. This is impossible. He heard the other party call his name loudly. After Minato dodged the shuriken, he sighed helplessly. It was discovered so quickly. The guard was really tight. With that said, Minato looked in the direction of the sound. Jonin from the Shimura clan. I have some impression of you. I must have met you more than 10 years ago. It seems that there should be a lot of surprises in this base. As the words fell, there were several kunao with the mark of the Flying Thunder God. He was shot in different directions ahead by Minato. Who are you? Jonin from the Shimura clan roared in surprise and anger. Give them all to me. Anyone who dares to impersonate 4th Hokage will be killed on the spot. Because he had the torture technique, he didn't ask to be captured alive. As long as the corpse's head can be kept intact, whether it's fake or not, you'll know right away. As he spoke, Minato's figure instantly disappeared. When he reappeared, he had replaced the kunao in the distance and came to Shimura Jonin. Flying Thunder God. No, this is impossible. This iconic ninjutsu instantly shocked Shimura Jonin. If he was still doubtful before, now that the Flying Thunder God is revealed, he is almost certain. The 4th Hokage is not dead. Everyone, run away and take the news out. He barely dodged a blow to his neck and was only cut to the back of his arm. Shimura Jonin almost shouted at the top of his lungs. Having experienced 3 battles, he clearly knew the terror of Minato. That is said to be a being that can give up the mission and run away directly after encountering it, and will not be punished afterwards. Now this man is resurrected. By fighting to reach the root base, he must have learned about the tragic experience of his descendants, so the news must be brought out at all costs. Otherwise, the whole family and even the Shimura clan will face catastrophe. There's no escape. Minato, who failed to succeed in his attack, did not strike again. Instead, he gently let go and teleported the bloody kunao away. But don't worry, it will only last for a moment and it won't be very painful. The gentle words contained a chill that sent chills down one's spine. Shimura Jonin was about to say something when he noticed that Minato had disappeared. At the same time, I kept seeing flashes of yellow and fallen ninjas in the distance. This is the yellow flash that scares the enemy on the battlefield? No, I have to run quickly and kill other people while he's at it. Shimura Jonin didn't stay stunned for long, he recovered after a few seconds and quickly escaped. But just as he lifted his feet, a sharp pain came from his chest. It was as if a steel needle had penetrated the heart. He reached out and touched his chest, and what touched his hand was a moist warmth. Why? Shimura Jonin's face remained filled with fear and surprise, and he fell heavily to the ground. Chapter 98, I'm going to pick on you? Shimura Jonin never understood how he died. Naturally, he didn't know that there was a Haiden who was a fanatic believer of the evil god at the entrance of the base. Woohoo! Another one is coming. Haiden, who was covered in blood, had an extremely excited smile on his face. He stood in the blood ceremony of death si Fengxu. Picking up the kunao that kept appearing out of thin air in front of him, he licked the blood on it with his tongue. His expression is also more enjoyable and crazy, and he looks no different from a pervert. Come on. This time from the temple to the brain. With the whole body covered in black and white stripes. Haiden aimed the huge steel needle at his temple and then stabbed it hard. Puff! The steel needle sank into the brain. The huge pain made Haiden's body tremble. This kind of relief after transcending the extreme pain is simply 10,000 times better than after Boki. As he spoke, Haiden began to rapidly spin the huge steel needle in his temple. The crazy expression reached its peak at this moment. Say, you are so high. It really makes me so high. Kushina. Nine Tails. Haiden's perverted scene successfully made Kushina and Nine Tails stay away from him. No, I have to keep Fengxu away from this pervert. Even if you come into contact with that lecherous Uncle Jiraiya, it's still better than this pervert. It was as if he imagined Fengxu or Naruto making Haiden's disgusting expression. Kushina couldn't help but shuddered and had goosebumps all over her body. It feels like he is his own good son. In the future, it will be like being deceived by a spirited girl who wears beanie shoes, fires will-o'-the-wisps, and calls herself Lea Dang. Nine Tails also smacked his lips and shook his head. I take back what I just said about liking him. This masochist is too perverted. While the two were talking, a ninja, who was holding his bleeding neck, rushed towards them quickly. Obviously, this root ninja has a very special physique. Even if his throat is cut and bleeding continues, he still has the strength to run out. It's finally my turn to take action. Nine Tails snorted coldly, and his arms turned into huge fox claws. But before it could take action, Kushina was faster on the side. Damn maggot, die, die, die. In an instant, 8 diamond chains shot out. The root ninja, who had no time to react, was nailed to the wall. Women are weak by nature, but mothers are strong. Kushina, who originally hated killing, now shows no mercy when it comes to killing. These were originally used as chains to seal the bonds. At this moment, they all turned into spikes, killing them with one strike. Just to seek justice for that dark and painful memory? Well, Nine Tails, who had his claws stretched out on one side, shook his hands in the air with some embarrassment. Then he pretended to take back the chakra as if nothing had happened and continued to watch the battle with his arms crossed. As Zamukunao was heard, Haiden was about to walk out of the ceremony out of boredom. Minato, whose royal robe was still clean, walked out from the depths of the passage. How is it? Have you found the information and evidence? Kushina stepped forward and stared at Minato's empty hands expectantly. Minato looked unhappy and shook his head. It seems like things here have been moved, there's just some abandoned equipment. It should be some unknown reason that caused Danzo to move everything away. This unknown reason is of course because 2 months ago, Sarutobi Hiruzen revealed the locations of these 2 bases. As a result, Danzo moved all important things away, leaving some ninjas on duty. This base was used as a temporary foothold. But Danzo's approach was also correct. Because after Sarutobi Hiruzen said it, he no longer hid this information. He turned around and gave it to Fengxu, wanting to try to build a good relationship again. It's a pity that none of the Fengxu birds who got the news were Sarutobi Hiruzen. He was too lazy to continue destroying those 2 bases, which caused Naruto to feel that he was killing innocent people indiscriminately, and his trust and dependence value dropped. Until now, these 2 bases were used to test Minato and Kushina. See if they sincerely draw a clear line with Konoha and can do it. Instead of continuing to protect Konoha secretly in the name of helping with revenge. Then the next base won't be. Kushina has a hunch that the root base in the Konoha forest outside may also be an empty shell. It doesn't matter if you have them or not, we just need to kill everyone and complete the test Fengxu gives us. This is also equivalent to a petition. Only when it is completed can you have the opportunity to gain trust and forgiveness. Otherwise, Fengxu wouldn't be able to believe that our parents sacrificed themselves for Konoha. Minato was quite clear about the significance of this operation. After all, he was also a Hokage, so he wasn't so stupid that he couldn't see clearly what Fengxu meant. Hearing trust and forgiveness, Kushina couldn't sit still immediately. The one who took the lead ran out, shouting as he ran. Let's go to the base in Konoha Forest. Early in the morning, Danzo stood at the entrance of the base under the ancestral hall with a livid face. After a while, Yamanaka Feng walked out of the base with an ugly face. Danzo-sama, it's just like the base outside in the Konoha Forest. They are all dead, not a single person is left alive. Danzo, who was originally hiding in other bases, suddenly felt the disappearance of a large number of tongue-eradicating seals yesterday. So I took the people on the road all night, and only now have I come back. Did you find anything? Danzo's tone was so cold that it even sent shivers down Yamanaka's spine. I took people to check, and no trace of tailed beast chakra was detected. It shouldn't be the one who took action. If it were that person, he would definitely not leave the base behind. The person in the spotlight of Yamanaka was naturally Fengxu, who had destroyed a base. Huh. Danzo glanced at Yamanaka Feng. The dissatisfaction and coldness in his eyes made Yamanaka Feng lower his head quickly, not daring to look directly. After a while, he snorted coldly and walked towards the Hokage building with a wooden stick. Hokage office. Sarutobi Hiruzen stared at the information in his hand and frowned. Suddenly, the door clicked and someone pushed it open from the outside. An angry Danzo walked in with a stern face. But Danzo hadn't waited for him to say anything. Sarutobi Hiruzen threw out an information scroll and said, Orochimaru and a mysterious strong man from 4-star village sneaked into the village yesterday. The only people who died are your 2 bases. You can check the specific information yourself. There is a high probability that you provoked some powerful person outside and came here for revenge. You should be aware of the bad things you do outside. If it was really Fengxu who did it, Sarutobi Hiruzen wouldn't have the headache he has now. Anyway, Danzo is doing more and more tricks and is becoming more and more dishonest. It is also a good thing to take the opportunity to suppress and weaken it. But now it is done by an unknown strong person in the dark, which is very scary. Killed so many Chunin, as well as a few Tojo and Jonin in one night, quietly. It was only discovered later because the smell of blood was too strong. This kind of strength is fully capable of destroying some small villages and disrupting large villages like theirs. Danzo glanced at Sarutobi Hiruzen coldly and did not answer. After taking the information and flipping through it a few times, he turned around and left here with the information and his men. Chapter 99 Danzo and Orochimaru's Conspiracy. Outside the headquarters of Sound Ninja Village, Danzo slowly walked to the gate with his men. However, he did not open the door and enter, but stopped and stood where he was. The masked roots behind him quickly spread around. Soon, the sound of fighting came from nearby. Not even a moment. 2 masked Hokage directly belonged to Umbu, and turned into corpses and fell to the ground behind Danzo. Among the scattered roots, only Yamanaka Feng and Hyaga, who were bodyguards, returned to Danzo's side. Danzo-sama, all the Umbu tales that followed have been taken care of. Yamanaka took a step forward and reported in a respectful voice. Because Sarutobi Hiruzen's telescope technique cannot be used to monitor Danzo, so Danzo knew very well that Hiruzen Sarutobi would definitely try to send people to follow him. It's a pity that he is not a good person. If you dare to follow him, you dare to kill him. You guys stay outside and don't let anyone disturb me. After giving the instructions, Danzo stepped forward again and pushed the door open. Yes. After receiving the order, Yamanaka Feng and Hyaga stood vigilantly on both sides of the door. As soon as Danzo entered the door, Jirobo appeared around him, pointing a weapon at his vitals. In this regard, Danzo didn't even blink, he just looked into the depths of the station indifferently. Then he spoke in a calm tone. Orochimaru, is this how you greet old acquaintances? Old acquaintance? He. Orochimaru's joking laughter came from inside. That's right, Jirobo, put your weapons away and don't be rude. Kabuto, go and bring this old acquaintance of mine in. After receiving Orochimaru's order, Jirobo put away his weapon and stood aside. Kabuto walked out of the house and said hello with a smile on his face. Danzo-sama, it's been such a long time. I didn't expect you to be connected with Orochimaru-sama. It seems that the roots of Konoha have long been rotten. Because of Danzo's design, Kabuto's most respected dean, Yakushi Nano, died at Kabuto's own hands. So Kabuto really hates Danzo so much. Humph, after decay comes new life, and the roots in the ground will eventually sprout branches and grow into towering trees. As for you, you are nothing more than an unfaithful and unfilial pawn. Danzo was very dismissive of this little pawn who was rescued and kept by Orochimaru. What's more, this little pawn actually regards Orochimaru as his savior and works for him. It's really stupid. Danzo remembered it very clearly. It was Kabuto's initial attraction to Orochimaru that led him to step in and force Kabuto to join. If it weren't for Orochimaru, Kabuto would have grown up happily in an orphanage by now. As the director of the orphanage, the pharmacist Nanoyo will not die in the end. Hehe. Kabuto's eyes were cold and scary, but he still had a habitual fake smile on his lips. Then I sincerely hope that the rotten roots can sprout and not turn into ashes like they did 2 months ago. After making an insinuation about the base that was completely destroyed by Fengxu, Kabuto then turned sideways to make way for a passage. Come with me, don't keep Orochimaru-sama waiting too long. Through the corridor passage, an underground entrance soon appeared. This is a temporary underground space built by Orochimaru. After all, being in Konoha, there were some things that he couldn't put openly. Entering this underground space, Danzo saw Orochimaru who was tinkering with test tubes and unknown liquids. And behind Orochimaru, there are 4 wooden coffins that are as tall as a person. That is, Danzo's originally calm expression fluctuated. The pupil of the one eye tightened, as if he thought of something. Orochimaru caught Danzo's expression out of the corner of his eye and smiled slightly. Then he put down the test tube in his hand and said calmly, Danzo, didn't you say that you wanted to avoid suspicion and that it was best not to contact you until the plan was successful? What? Have you changed your mind now? And you came to me so arrogantly, do you want to expose my relationship with the Sound Ninja Village? In response to Orochimaru's question, Danzo withdrew his gaze and said with disdain, they are just some abandoned children. Do you feel distressed now? As for avoiding suspicion, it is no longer necessary now. Since Hiruzen dared to leak the location of my base, all my men were killed. Then it's natural for me to return to Konoha to do some processing. Are you going to join us? Orochimaru's eyes narrowed slightly, as if he had discovered something interesting. Danzo sneered, of course I will follow suit. But it's not against Hiruzen's people, but against your abandoned sons and the people of Sand Shinobi. I want to show the daimyo how incompetent Hiruzen is and how weak Konoha is under his management. And only my Danzo's iron-blooded management can save Konoha and bring a future to Konoha. After listening to Danzo's words, Orochimaru was not angry at all. After all, it's just like Danzo said, they are just abandoned children who have achieved their goals. Now he was more interested in Danzo's sudden change of mind. I remember before, you said you wanted to destroy Konoha and then rebuild a Konoha that belongs to you on the ruins. How come you now help Konoha to drive away enemies, and then let the daimyo support you to become the next generation of Hokage? As soon as he finished asking, without giving Danzo a chance to speak, Orochimaru continued angrily. Oh, sorry, I remembered. It should be that you lost 3 bases and your men, so you are short of manpower, hehehe. Just like Orochimaru said. In just over 3 months, almost half of Danzo's men were dead. The sudden change of mind should be due to this reason. My men can be replenished at any time, as long as I can become Hokage. Being laughed at by Orochimaru, Danzo's expression did not change at all. But seeing you complete that technique makes me feel relieved. What do you know about 4-star village? Orochimaru was stunned by Danzo's sudden question. Do you suspect that your base was massacred by people from 4-star village? Orochimaru frowned, recalling the scene where he almost died yesterday. His expression was very serious. Then you have to be careful in the future. The existence that can give others the power of tailed beasts is very dangerous. The threat level is no less than that of the Akatsuki organization. So dangerous. Danzo had already learned the information about the Akatsuki organization from Orochimaru, knowing that the people inside are all kinds of powerful S-class wanted criminals and traitorous ninjas. But it's really shocking that 4-star village can be compared with this kind of organization. Suddenly he was not in the mood to stay any longer, so he raised his feet and hurried outside. Seeing that Danzo was about to leave, Orochimaru said the last thing. By the way, the plan is ahead of schedule. If nothing unexpected happens, it will be here in the next few days. Be prepared. Hearing this, Danzo's body paused, but he didn't ask why, but continued to walk out. I understand, and I will find a way to get the daimyo to come over in advance to watch the battle. Chapter 100 Passing the second examination. The central tower of the Forest of Death. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, who were separated from Shikamaru, successfully reached the end of this exam. By a very coincidence, I met Xiaoli and the others who had already arrived. Yeah, it's those thick eyebrows. I didn't expect them to arrive here so early. Seeing Xiaoli's iconic appearance, Naruto immediately exclaimed. Hearing Naruto's exclamation, Xiaoli and the other 3 also followed him. It's you? Xiaoli also looked surprised, then quickly turned around and pulled Niji and Tian to shout. I'm talking about him, the monster who defeated Teacher Kai in his 4-door state. I remember Sakura calling his name Fengxu. Fengxu. Nisi and Tian immediately looked over together. I want to see what Genin, the monster that can defeat Kai, looks like. It's him, that handsome yellow-haired guy before the first exam. The moment he saw Naruto, Tenten remembered what happened before the exam when he was stopped by Gang Ziaitai and Shinayu Izumo using genjutsu. It's just that it looks weird, like a different person. Naruto's exaggerated movements and enthusiastic and lively temperament. Tian couldn't think of the cold and handsome guy that morning. Niji also recalled this incident and frowned in confusion. If you are so powerful, why did you only arrive here this morning? Even Hinata, that weak eldest lady, was ahead of them. The 3 of them were the first to arrive here yesterday. Hinata and the other 3 arrived here second, but Niji was quite surprised. I am not Fengxu now, I am Naruto. Hearing Xiaoli and others shouting Fengxu, Naruto retorted loudly and unhappily. And you have thick eyebrows, I won't give up Sakura to you. Sakura. Before Sakura could say anything, Xiaoli also appeared in front of Naruto instantly. The eyes that stared at Naruto were filled with burning fire. My name is not Thick Eyebrow, my name is Rock Lee. Also, I will work hard to defeat you and then start dating Sakura. Zitsaize. The 2 people looked at each other with eyes that seemed to be filled with anxious lightning. This made Sakura, who was speechless on the side, so angry that veins appeared on her forehead. Then he burst out at a speed exceeding his normal speed and punched each of Naruto and Xiaoli quickly. Bang, bang, you 2 bastards, stop talking nonsense. I don't like it, who I date is my business, it's not yours to decide. Originally, Sakura wanted to say that she didn't like the 2 of them and would not date them. But when he saw Naruto's profile, he inexplicably changed what he was going to say next. Judging from Sasuke's attitude towards her in the previous exam, the chances of her being with Sasuke are slim to none, but Sasuke refused, but there was still Fengxu. If it really doesn't work, she can hold her nose and agree with Naruto, and then convince him to switch to Fengxu more often. Thinking of this, Sakura couldn't help but smile shyly. Boring. Sasuke looked at the farce in front of him and just wanted to leave through everyone. Suddenly he frowned and pushed Naruto away. Whoosh whoosh. Several sand bombs formed from sand hit the place where Naruto originally stood. Seeing Sasuke suddenly push him, Naruto thought that Sasuke wanted to fight with him again. Just as he was about to roll up his sleeves and take action, he saw Sasuke saying with disgust. Idiot, look where you were standing just now. Where were you standing just now? Turning around, Naruto saw a few sand bombs on the ground at a glance. His face suddenly darkened and he looked behind him angrily. Suddenly he saw Gaara and the other three walking from outside. It was you with the dark circles under your eyes who attacked me. Damn it, wasn't the beating I gave you enough yesterday? Although those sand bombs don't look very powerful, they can't even break the ground. But he, Naruto, is a master now. A master must save face. Gaara, who smelled of blood all over his body, did not look good on Naruto. He just looked at him with cold eyes and said indifferently, "If it was a sneak attack, you would have been dead just now. Also, you're blocking the road, get out of here." After being injured by Naruto yesterday, Gaara started a massacre in the Death Forest. At least 4 teams and 12 people died in his hands. Therefore, the smell of blood on his body was quite strong. Hey, it makes sense for you to sneak attack. I won't let you have the ability to step over me. Seeing Gaara being so rude, Naruto was very angry. Swish swish. Seeing that Naruto refused to move out of the way, the word love on Gaara's forehead was pushed up by veins again. At the same time, wisps of sand slowly surrounded Gaara's body. Temari, who was behind, saw that the atmosphere between the two was not good, and started fighting the next second. He quickly stepped forward and stopped in the middle to smooth things over. I just said hello, don't be angry. Look at those sand bombs, half of them collapsed when they hit the ground. They are not offensive at all. Kankuro also whispered beside Gaara. Gaara, just be patient for a little longer, and you will be able to be completely released soon. It seemed that it was because the two of them treated his injuries last night and grilled fish. Gaara's face calmed down, and the sand automatically returned to the gourd behind him. You'd better hope that you or your companions don't run into me during the next exam. Otherwise I will use sand to crush all your bones bit by bit. After saying that, Gaara no longer asked Naruto to give way. Directly using sand Shunshen, he passed Naruto and walked towards the tower. Please borrow it. Temari and Kankuro, who had seen Naruto's terrifying strength, walked through the crowd politely. Gaara quickly chased ahead. Gaara, wait for us. When Gaara and the other 3 left, Sakura on the side breathed a sigh of relief. Then with a look of horror and innocence on his face, he held his head and screamed in distress. Ah, it was obviously Naruto who caused the trouble. Why did you crush my bones? Naruto took the opportunity to step forward and pat his chest. Don't be afraid, Sakura, I will try to meet him and defeat him. Hearing this, Xiaoying looked crazy. You should try to be useful. Xiaoli on the side looked at Gaara walking away, and suddenly turned his head to look at Niji beside him. He gave me a very bad feeling. Niji also frowned and nodded. It's very dangerous. You might die if you fight him. Seeing that Xiaoli and Niji both looked serious, Tiantian curiously asked Naruto in front of him. How did you provoke such a scary guy? Why does he look like he wants to kill you? Naruto raised his head proudly, his face full of pride. I wouldn't be sleepy if you said this. It's almost like, in order to save someone, I beat that guy hard.